Hello, hello, hello. Okay, my friends, we're back for the afternoon stream. Mark had to take a phone call because, unlike me, he's not retired. So he is still working and he had to take a call. So the fan is still up at the court. So we will take some questions. I will take some questions as we wait for Mark to come back. Mark was able to join us early. So for those of you who are on the morning stream, he was with us on the morning stream. So we already had a taste of Mark so far. We let him take a phone call every now and then. Thanks, RB, for buying me a matcha latte. I appreciate you so much. And for Just a Girl in the World for buying me a matcha latte. Thank you so much. Thank you to Lori for the Cash App and says, thank me for the great coverage. No, thank you. Thank you for watching. Let's see. We have some more questions here. Uno momento. I think we got everybody else. All right. Did they say what time they're coming back? Hey, Miss Shorty, thanks for becoming a new member. Welcome, welcome. Mark is back. Mark, you ready to come back? Just give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready. Take as much time as you need. The fan is still up. He's back. Hi.
Hello.
Get a nice 5 break. I said, I'm retired. He's not. So, some people have to actually still work.
Sometimes. Today's kind of a mishmash, travel recovery day.
Well, did you tell everybody where you went last night? Is it top secret information or
no,
I didn't share because I don't dox people, but
No, not at all. Just went back home to Boston and went to a very good basketball game last night.
So
The
you
good
went to the
guys won.
Celtics game. Yeah.
I did. The good guys won, so we're happy. And hopefully that's the last home game of the year.
Very exciting. Very exciting. All right. So what say we so far? We're just the fan is up. We're waiting for Proctor to come back, but
I am stunned that he's testifying substantively. I mean, the guy has a lawyer. He knows that the feds are sniffing around. He knows that there's this inverted Sallyport video, which is really sketchy, which kind of puts him hanging around the taillight that clearly they attempted to conceal. He knows now, before he testified, that there is a second video of him standing right by the Sallyport with 40-something missing minutes before that. He knows that the police officer from another town testified right before him, or should have known that he was going to testify, and described the taillight in a very different way. He's clearly waived the fifth on everything, and he has the text messages to deal with on cross.
The text messages,
amongst other things, I think he's going to get eviscerated.
And God save the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Bring the witness in, please.
My favorite portion of that little speech they give every morning. God save the Commonwealth. Are you from Massachusetts originally?
I am. Yeah.
What brought you to New York?
What? Manhattan DA's office, actually. It's better than the Norfolk DA's office. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Apparently. Probably pays better too.
Well, it's all relative.
Right. Cost of living.
Yeah.
Did you go to law school?
So, jurors, before we begin, Mr. Lally, as you approach the podium there, when I tell you that I strike something from the record, I know I've told you before, that means you're not to consider it, okay?
But you've already heard it, so you can't really unring the bell.
Go ahead, Mr. Lally.
Let me emphasize that again for you, even though you weren't thinking about that.
Good afternoon, sir.
God.
Good afternoon, sir.
So,
get to the cross. We need the cross.
Reference to,
I know. It's torture.
Before we broke, we were talking a bit about Julie Albert and Christopher Albert, correct?
Yes.
And how would you describe your relationship, if any, between Julie Albert and Christopher Albert prior to January 29, 2022?
Loose acquaintances.
Loose acquaintances. Oh, that's a new one.
People that you knew through your sister, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, with reference to the occasions that you had said where you may have been at the same place at the same time at a family function or something like that, over what period of time are we talking about, and about how many different instances of that occurred over those years?
Like I had mentioned, they had never been to my house. It was either at my sister's home or at my parents' house. Over the course of maybe 10 years, I might have been at the same function half a dozen times.
And at those times that you were at the same function a half a dozen times or so, how much interaction would you have with either Christopher Albert or Julie Albert, or even Colin Albert at those functions?
Just casual conversation, be cordial, and just typical conversations, you know, hi, how's it going, things of that nature.
But let me get you a gift. Very
Now,
casual.
with reference to
Babysit my
these
kids.
experiences,
Casual.
or relationships, or lack thereof, that you had.
Imagine
with
that
Christopher
cross.
and
You
Julie
trust
Albert.
your children
What
with
if any
these casual
conversations did you
acquaintances.
have?
Yeah,
with
do you think
your
they'll drag this out? Do you think he'll drag this out until 4 and make us wait till Wednesday for the cross?
I hope not.
supervisors,
do
as
that.
far as superior officers within your unit, in regard to
I explained the connection with my sister to the Albert family.
and who did you explain that to?
That would be Sergeant Mechanic, Lieutenant Fanning, and Detective Lieutenant Tully.
All right, Trooper, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up. Maybe approach the microphone a little closer.
And just with respect to those disclosures, what specifically did you tell either Sergeant Mechanic or Lieutenant Fanning or Lieutenant Tully?
Basically, that the Alberts are my sister's friends. That I've been at some functions with them, and the only kind of connection with the Albert family is through my sister.
And just when you say the Alberts, as far as who specifically within the Alberts are you talking about that had a friendship with your sister?
Julie, Chris, and their son Colin.
Now, with regard to the investigation that you were conducting and the interviews that you conducted, what, if any, impact did those relationships have with regard to your interviews of them specifically, or the investigation in total?
Zero. Absolutely zero impact on this investigation.
You want to may approach?
Yes.
Yeah, the sister you talk to 5 to 6 times a day. Do you have a sister? Do you talk to her 5 or 6 times a day?
No, I mean, maybe 5 or 6 times a year. That's not true, but you get well,
Yeah.
not 5 or 6 times a day. I don't think that's ever happened, but
Well, you're right. Lally did get a haircut. He got rid of his shark fin. I really enjoyed that shark fin. Ajax is going to eat him for lunch, somebody said.
what are these, like pictures from the weddings and whatnot?
Yeah. Colin's the ring bearer at Courtney's wedding.
These look like photographs, like social media type photographs.
Oh, they better get ahead of that stuff because, you know, his mother, I think, said that the Alberts are like her second family. How often do you talk to your mother, Michael Proctor?
I'll show you a document. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
It's a text message thread
Oh, here we go.
Getting ahead of it.
labeled Proctor Friends.
Now, over the course of your investigation, over the course of this case, are you aware that there were iCloud data that was obtained from your personal cell phone?
Yes.
And different text strings from that iCloud data from your personal cell phone, correct?
Correct.
And with respect to what has just been placed before you, is that an excerpt or piece from those particular messages?
It is.
And from the front page of that, can you tell the jury who are sort of the participants in this particular text communication?
There's several numbers that aren't identified. The 3 that are under kind of nicknames me and my buddies have for each other.
And generally speaking, just as far as the participants in this text communication,
I assume one of them is
who
not
are those
named
people
Kramer.
to you, and how do you know
that
them?
kind
How long?
Kramer. Maybe-
the frame, no, the framer.
Oh, the framer. Yeah, maybe there's a Sully. I bet you there's a Sully
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
How long have you known them? Who are
The members on this text thread are close friends from junior high, first grade even.
Oh,
they?
He's
So people
loyal.
You've known for years, is that correct?
Correct.
And do each of them live, or do any of them live within the general area at this time?
Some of them do, yes.
And so when some of them do, some of them do not, is that correct?
Correct.
And the ones that do not, how far away do they live?
As far as way as Tennessee.
Does this make it okay to say I'm looking for nudes because they live in
Reference,
Tennessee?
To this, there's an indication as far as the first message sent or last message sent from this particular text chain.
I want to know the dates. This is
I'm sorry, repeat the question, please.
Sure. Sort of towards the middle of the first page. Help direct your attention to that area. Is there any indication as far as the first message sent and the last message sent with respect to this text chain?
On the first page, yes.
And what is indicated as far as the first message and the last message?
The first message is I need to brandish a gun more often. The last is Chip, name of that BPD cop.
No, I'm sorry, sir. If I could direct your attention to the first page in this packet, page 2527.
I need to brandish a gun more often. Oh, this is gonna be good.
what a dope.
Buckle up.
You see conversation details.
What's the date of the first message, guy? Jesus.
I'm sorry, may I approach?
Yes.
Please, please
Yes.
help this guy out.
Doesn't want to do this.
Talking about now?
I do, sir.
Spare us the tears.
And from that area labeled conversation details, there's a first message sent, date and time, and a last message
January
sent, date and time,
29.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is the first message sent, date and time?
It's 10/18 of 2021 at 8:48 a.m. The last message sent is 8/31, 2022 at 11:19 p.m.
And is there also within that conversation details an indication as far as number of messages over that time frame within this communication?
There is.
And what does it list for number of messages?
It's 38,707.
38,000
Fair to say the packet that
messages
you
in
have before you
10
does not
months?
contain all 38,707 messages, correct?
That's correct.
The first message that you had, I believe, alluded to in reference to the first one listed within this communication, what date and time is that?
That was January 29th, 2022 at 10:36 p.m.
And who is that message from?
My friend who lives in Tennessee.
And what, if anything, did he send to the group?
I need to brandish a gun more often.
And if you know, what is that in reference to?
He just recently moved to Tennessee, and he was kind of, I think, making a joke as kind of the lifestyle down there where guns are more prominent or more common to be carried around there. So I interpreted that as a joke in that nature.
And the next message, sir, from that same page, 2527.
The next one is it's bold.
And is there a name associated with that number that's in these?
No,
Do you know who that person is?
I don't.
And the next message, sir,
Yeah.
from 10:52 p.m.
Chip, name of that BPD cop.
And Chip, who is that referring to, sir?
That is one of my nicknames I've had since maybe high school.
So a nickname that would be familiar amongst these group of friends in particular.
Yes.
And this time period when these text messages begin, sometime after 10:30 or 10:50 p.m. on January 29th, where are you and what are you doing in reference around that time period?
At this point in time, on the 29th, I'm home.
And that last text message, do you respond to that at approximately 10:53 p.m.?
Yes.
And what was your response?
John O'Keefe.
How do they
And,
know
the
at this
next message
point?
down from there, also at
There's a dead
10:53 p.m.
Boston cop. 10:52.
How do his friends know? I think it hit the news by then because his body was discovered at like 6 a.m.
So it was out in the news that it was a Boston police officer already at that time. Wow. Okay.
I think it was. And I think, well, I don't think they yet said that they had video ring footage because Karen Reed's name, I don't think was mentioned at that time, but there may have been Maybe you guys in the chat know, but I'm pretty sure it had already hit the airwaves by 10:53 p.m.
Hmm.
East Coast time on the 29th.
Unless he was already sharing it. I mean, it's interesting.
Right, but you think that there would be a message before that that would say something about it, like, "Hey guys, guess what I did today," or something.
Yeah, you think there would. I mean, this is interesting. I just thought
Yes.
they didn't know he was a cop
He
yet, but
Took custody of his sister's kids.
That's your response. There's another response above that. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what does that say?
How old?
And you respond as far as he took custody of his sister's kids, correct?
Correct.
Skipping down a couple, do you see an entry at 10:53:49 p.m.?
Yes.
And that's from a 617 number, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is the response there?
Oh man, that's rough.
And following that, do you respond to the earlier query as far as age?
I do.
And what did you say?
Mid-40s.
Now, the next message below that, as far as indication of mid-40s, what is that?
His age.
No, I understand that. I'm sorry. The next message underneath that, sir.
I'm sorry. It's a Facebook link.
And do you recall what that Facebook link is to?
It's to John O'Keefe.
And is that something you sent or one of your friends sent?
One of my friends sent.
And the next message below, turning to now page 2529 at the top there. What is the next message that's sent?
What's that? Don't have the book anymore.
The book.
And
Facebook.
as far as the book, what did you understand that to be?
Sure.
The book. Facebook of the book. Don't have the book anymore. So this group of messages, 38,000 text messages in a 10-month period. And there's some people in there that he's like, I don't even know who that is. How do you not, you have 38,000 messages in this group chat and you don't know who one of these people are? I'd be like, you ever get involved in a group chat and you're just like, get me out of the group chat and mute it? I don't even want to be in here anymore.
And Lally, in classic Lally fashion, is going to kind of beat around the bush or build up to this by trying to bore people to death with not much before you get to the real stuff, which is, I mean,
The nudes and the...
I mean, he took the phone that he went to visit her the day of the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the phone during
Right.
the normal daytime hours of that day. He presumably saw her passcode, according to him, when they went down there in Dighton when she was at her parents' house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. At 4 or 5 p.m.
So and the first messages where they're saying, again, this BPD cop, I feel like they're leaving out the earlier messages. There has to be an earlier part of this, or it would make sense. There doesn't have to be, where he might have already been telling them about this, because, at 10:52, what's the name of the BPD cop in a conversation to him? I feel
John
like
Monagle says it hit the news that morning, so it was already out that a Boston
it
police
might
officer
have
was
been.
dead.
No, I mean,
Right.
again, that may be it, but it sounds like, I wonder if they're skipping some of the stuff where he says, hey, I just picked up this crazy case, and where are these messages? I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out on cross, but
It's a little bit of
it's like he's
gossipy.
juggling. Yeah, no, it's a strange first message to get. What's the name of that Boston police cop? I mean, why would you, just because there's a dead Boston police officer, and he works in the Massachusetts State Police, I mean, he just would text his friend and say, what's the name of the cop? And he just happens to be the the case officer. I want to be proper here.
Case officer.
It just
It's like he works
sounds
at the DMV.
right.
I would say because he lives in Canton and they probably said it happened in Canton. And so his
Maybe.
buddies were like, oh, you live in Canton. Like, this guy. One of my moderators.
10-minute break. Okay.
10-minute break. Scott, one of my amazing moderators, who's retired NYPD, has a question for you. And I said that he could get to the top of the line.
Well, I need to know what precinct and when, and whether we've overlapped.
Oh,
whether
maybe.
EA or private practice. But
He says, Mark, if Canton PD said it was DV, it's a must arrest like New York City. They didn't call her at the scene or the hospital. How are they going to explain that?
I don't know, but he's right. I mean, New York City, I mean, you get horrible arrests. People say something terrible happened and there's nothing to really substantiate it. But The
So
directive
do you
is
have that copy for me?
so if that's the case there, then, why wouldn't she?
Right. If they thought it was a domestic.
Yep. I mean, there's been a lot of terrible arrests in New York City because they have to. And then the case ends up getting dismissed, or even it just goes away very quickly. But usually that's the DA that does that. The cops are told they have to make the arrest. And a lot of times they apologize. I mean,
Why are they taking a break?
I something to do with these messages. I wonder what he's objecting to. I mean, he can certainly do it out of context if he wants, as long as the messages are in, he'll get crossed on it, which I think would make him look bad, by the way, if that's what he's doing. But I don't know what they would be objecting to tell you the truth. I mean, the messages will speak for themselves. He'll cross, he'll do whatever, but there's clearly something happening that he doesn't like the way Lally's doing it.
Yeah. Texasana, thank you for the super chat. Turn out the lights. The party's over. Willie Nelson will add that to the playlist. We have a playlist going for this trial. The Crypto Texler, thank you for the 5. This is going to be epic. Okay, I'll quit posting so much.
Chip.
Please pass the pepper. Thank you. Bev flips at defense today. Here's 38K says nothing. Oh, 38,000 messages.
Maybe. Oh, I know. Maybe. I mean, I'm speculating, of course, but if Jackson gets a copy of, I don't know, a couple hundred messages, and there are really 38,000 between these people that are in the relevant time period, he might want to say, how come I don't have those?
Yeah.
Again, there may be things that the defense finds very interesting that the prosecution alleges isn't. And it's not like Lally has a great track record of representing what has value to the defense, or what may have value. I mean, I do remember way back when they were arguing over the federal stuff, when Jackson and Yannetti were jumping up and down saying this is loaded with exculpatory material, which clearly, I mean, these messages, the accident reconstruction people, I mean, real powerful Brady material. And Lally was saying there's nothing exculpatory in here. And that just makes no sense. And of course, it's up to the defense to determine what's relevant to them, to their defense, and what's not, what may be helpful, what's not. And I don't think they're going to want to rely on Lally giving them, a couple hundred out of 38,000. I mean, I wouldn't take it for it.
Don't you think that this stuff came from the feds? Don't you think it's the feds that got his text messages? So under 2, they both get the same stuff?
They should. They definitely should. But I don't know, unless he's saying, maybe they each got 200 and Lally says, I have all these other ones. And again, I want to see what they are. I mean, obviously the text messages amongst this group are coming in, they're relevant on some level. And I mean, if I were the defense, I'd want to be able to judge for myself if some of the other ones matter, at least beginning on January 29th. I mean, the stuff before, who cares? I mean, I think he said these go back to October of 21. So, you can excise 3 or 4 months of these, but even then there's still 30 something thousand messages, as you said, like less than a year. I mean, that's
insane.
That is a lot, but he's also doing this in a very weird way. I mean, he's diffusing or popping the balloon a little bit about the messages, but he's doing it in his, as the commenter is saying, in that Lally way of where are these
Lally dallying?
My friend lives in, Tennessee, and none of this matters because, of course, if somebody lives in Tennessee, then if I'm sending nude pictures, it's less offensive, apparently.
And there's that one message where I guess the guy from Tennessee is going to say, don't you think the Boston cop whose lawn he was found on is going to catch a bunch of heat? And he's going to reply with one word. Remember what that word was?
Nope.
Nope. We have a nope emoji. Let's see some nope emojis in the chat.
To me, the powerful text, just again, based on what's been represented, because God knows what else. I mean, 38,000, all of a sudden my ears are kind of perked up that there's a lot more than they mentioned that might have value. But when he said, I'm dying to know the date and time that he said, I wish she would just kill herself.
Yes.
To me, that is the ultimate admission, the ultimate guilty conscience. And it's this total, it reeks of truthful stream of consciousness. If he signed up to do something really stupid, some people disagree with this. He may not be, like, prior to this, the worst, most corrupt guy in the world. I don't know. Maybe he was. But if it's part of this crazy do something for the Alberts because he has to. And if he really tampered with that taillight on January 29th, and then all of a sudden people are planting it and we're going to arrest her, he knows at that point, my God, like this is happening, but this is also really clumsy, really rushed. This is never going to really hold up. And, you know, I wish she would kill herself. This would all go away. I mean,
Right.
she ran him over. She feels terrible. She kills herself. And then nobody's really looking into this beyond it's a terrible situation where for whatever reason she killed her boyfriend, accident or not, and then just took her own life. And then we're done here.
And he doesn't have to keep up the whole charade.
He doesn't have to keep up the whole charade, but instead he comes here, probably lied about the taillight stuff. I mean, I don't know how anyone seriously isn't troubled by all of that. And now he's going to acknowledge that I sent all these nasty text messages while he's 10 feet away from her in this closet courtroom, and think that he's going to have any possible explanation for that. Because the thing about killing herself too, it makes no sense. I mean, what if you're arresting her for committing a crime? Okay, whatever. Why would you go that extra step?
Unless you're that personally invested in it.
Right. I mean, I don't approve, but I get the misogynist. Oh, I'm looking for nudes. I mean, he's perverted. She's an attractive woman. He's a lunatic. So he's just bragging to his buddies. I mean, that's crazy. It's misogynist, but I get it in terms of what he's thinking. I can't think of any other reason he would say that somebody I just arrested, I should want her to kill herself, unless he's basically saying, I need this all to go away because I screwed up and I don't want to get in trouble and I'm in too deep now.
Yeah, I agree. You're freezing up a little bit. I don't know if it's just me that sees you freezing. I don't know if, do you guys see Mark freezing and me, or just Mark? Maybe you have to refresh, but hang on. Mark is correct. Lally will just bore everyone by lally-dallying. He will waste the rest of today on nothing like always. Thanks, Solomon Landscaping. Bill wants to know, does Mark think the Pats will win at least 3 games?
4 or 5. Come on, be nice.
Pass the pepper. Thanks again. Sorry, no more typing without my glasses on. Promise. No worries. Lady Losandra, would it affect the defense? Now they only cross.
I'm not sure I know what that means. What affect them?
I don't know. Thanks for becoming a new member, Cat Lady. We're still watching the fan.
Something interesting must be happening. I mean, there's really.
She left the bench. She went back behind closed doors.
I would think she's probably, looking perhaps at the messages to determine maybe there's something else. I don't know. I mean, this is all just guesswork, but no, absolutely not.
I'm not even going to highlight that one.
No, that's a hard no.
It doesn't even get highlighted.
I know what we're both talking about, and no chance.
Solomon says at least we have the Celtics, so there's that.
Yes, no, that's good.
She called 10 minutes. Yeah, we were a little bit behind. My garage is heated, no freezing. Bev went off to call Marcy. That's what I think. Every time she leaves, it's kind of like, I got to go make a call. I'll be right back. Taking marching orders.
Somebody must have told Lally how to do this today, because, in the past, he's never thought strategically about, I think, trying to, again, pop a balloon that's going to get really exposed on cross. And he's, like with the video, the inverted video is a perfect example. If you're dumb enough to even try to use that, if you at least bring out accurately what the jury's looking at. And, the fact that he's trying to go through all of Proctor's credibility problems is that seems like a change for them. As well as he noted earlier, using real evidence too, instead of just all these boring pictures. I mean, today they brought out the taillight.
Lorraine says just before going, she asked Jackson for his copy.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, is it possible they have different stuff?
Maybe he looked at Lally's and was like, Your Honor, we're not given these. Melanie and Mark together gives me great info. Thanks, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy Todd. So I swear, I think he's going to drag this out until the end of the day, and we're not going to get any cross. Oh, look who's here. Brian. Hi, Brian. Thanks for the super chat. 2 awesome attorneys. I always love hearing their points of view in the Karen Reed trial. Thank you. Mark, Brian's great.
Yeah.
Brian is great. Yeah, the defense gave her copies of something. Yannetti handed Bev document before she left the room. It was like a whole stack of stuff. The trolls always seem to come out after lunch. Don't worry. My mods are the best on YouTube. We take care of them. We have a special troll emoji too, because they're out in full force on this case. Like, what is it
Oh my
about
God.
this case?
I
What?
won't tell you what I was watching yesterday. I won't even bore you with the details with some of
Oh,
these people. It's
saved by the bell.
she doesn't look very happy.
No.
Wait a minute.
No
No.
matter which facial expression she makes, people want to convict her. People say she's guilty because she smirks too much.
Oh my God.
Her skirts are too short. They're not appropriate for court.
God forbid you smile at your family. I mean, she's supposed to lock herself in her room and rock back and forth. And, that's what a truly remorseful person would do.
Somebody got a picture of her that somebody sent me of her out to dinner with them the other night with her attorneys with the martini.
How dare they?
How dare she have a martini if it was even her martini with her lawyers? It's so inappropriate.
Unbelievable.
It happens all the time. You eat with your attorneys when you're on trial for that long. And says, I don't get how the taillight pieces made it up and over the 2-foot snowbank and onto the lawn. There would be tire marks and obvious signs from her car plowing through it, and she didn't get stuck. I've seen no evidence that John O'Keefe was hit by Karen Reed's car. The strongest evidence that I think that they have is the taillight. And as we can see, none of those huge taillight pieces came from 12:45 a.m.
You're almost 2 weeks into a murder case and you haven't heard from a medical examiner, but you've had Dr. Yuri Buchanek, diagnose injuries, and
we don't even know how he died.
You don't even know how he died. You don't even know if his injuries are consistent with what they allege at this point. They've done nothing to establish a crime. Really. I mean, they have a death, but they haven't even established a crime.
There's been no flow to this trial whatsoever. They should have came out. He should have began with something like, if you were trying this case, let's just say, please pass the pepper. Thank you. Auntie Bev's doing what she should have done prior. Yep. 100% reviewing the evidence or the exhibits or the whatever. If you were trying this case, in what order would you have tried the case with regard
First
to?
of all, on this evidence, I never would have indicted this case, and I certainly would have tried it. But I'll play the exercise out. It's a murder case, so you need to have this people of like the Proctors and Buchaneks. They are the people who should take the jury by the hand and guide them through why we arrested her. And here's how we developed the case, and they can connect all the players, not throw them at the end. And then instead they did what Morrissey did in that what you call is like hostage press conference, where he basically looked like he was a subservient to the Alberts and McCabe's. Well, that's what Lally looked like by spending 4 weeks saying they didn't do it for the first 4 weeks of the trial.
Right.
It was that they didn't do it. And say, do what? I mean, you have to prove a murder before you mock the defense argument, as you say. And they waited and waited. So I don't even know why they called half of those witnesses as opposed to rebuttal witnesses necessarily. I mean, if the Alberts have nothing to do with it, I don't know why you would call them and then have them get subjected to some of that cross-examination. If you made the defense call some of those witnesses, you could have at least in the beginning made the defense direct examine them, which is much more difficult with people than cross-examining, especially with some of these witnesses. I mean, imagine if Jackson had to direct examine Jennifer McCabe and could not tell her yes or no, we're going to do this my way. And she had a right to kind of sort of just ramble on however she wanted. It would have been less effective. Brian Albert, who at least was very polished. I mean, I think a lot of what he said was ridiculous, but he certainly knew how to testify in a way where if you had to direct him, it would have been more difficult. You call a medical examiner early in a murder case, you establish that it's actually a homicide and how the person died. And it almost makes you wonder if they're treating the medical examiner the way they're treating Proctor. They're just delaying the inevitable because they don't want to deal with it, because I mean, is the medical examiner going to say that John O'Keefe's injuries are consistent with getting mowed down by a car when the only real, as far as you can tell, serious injury is that nasty gash on the back of his head? But that probably is not consistent with getting hit by the taillight.
Mhm.
And it's also not likely that he would be sitting on the ground just facing the wrong way.
You saw that
You
video,
are
I
on
guess.
witness back, please.
Oh my, yeah.
She's going to say it's not consistent with a fight. That's what she says. But it's not. It's also not consistent with a drowning, with
Just
falling
common,
off a
by the way,
cliff.
for medical examiners to say, I don't know what it is, but I know it's not that.
Exactly. Because that's what they do in autopsy reports.
Oh, yeah.
They say what didn't cause the death.
Right.
Welcome to the upside down.
Exactly.
That's my favorite guy right there, Craig, the AV guy, sitting at the little TV table that they gave him, the tray table.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awful.
Trooper, if I could direct you back to page 2529 within that packet before you. And below that text stating what's that, I don't have the book anymore. You respond, is that correct?
Yes.
And what is it that you say there?
This one is a nightmare. Forget about the kids. That's awful.
And sir, if I could direct your attention again within that same packet to 2532.
This is really clunky.
There's no flow. He has
None.
he's so
None.
disorganized.
There's no rhythm.
They're sent at 10:56 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And who's that from?
A friend who lives in Tennessee.
And what does he say in that text?
I'm sure the owner of the house will receive some shit.
Here we go.
And you respond at 10:56 as well as 10:57. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is it that you respond?
My first response was nope. Homeowner is a Boston cop too.
Oh, he just says it like, homeowner's a Boston cop too.
What, if
Nope.
anything, were you saying, or what was
He's
the
going to
purpose
say
of
that's a
that
separate
text
comment.
in
Just
regards
it's a
to-
notation, not.
I was just
that's
letting
why.
him know that essentially Mr. O'Keefe is a Boston cop and the homeowner was a Boston cop as well.
There's no connection between the
Now,
two
if I could
sentences.
turn your attention to 2533.
Yeah. Jury's not going to buy it.
No, not with everything else.
And top of the page, sir, if you could read through that page as far as who's texting and what are they saying?
Again, for my friend from Tennessee and myself, I hope not, but I can't see it. I responded with, she waffled him. I looked at his body at the hospital. He was banged up.
She waffled him. What does that mean?
I don't even know what that means.
All right, we'll see if he'll be asked.
Now, as far as the next text
He's
number,
getting
781
tense
number,
here. Here
Mhm.
comes the good stuff.
what does that say?
Did he get beat up?
And you responded to that, is that correct?
I did.
The objection sustained as to form.
What, if any, response did you provide to that?
Nope.
Objection. The objection was to the former question and the answer.
Yeah.
I'll
She let him
strike it.
go.
Now, turning your attention to 2534. And from this page, sir, if you could again just read through as far as indicating to the jury who's speaking and what is being said.
From the start of the first text, so the owner of the house.
Yes.
So the owner of the house was a woman cop that beat him. That's what I initially thought after talking to Kean paramedic. Then I saw the guy.
And those last two are your responses, is that correct?
Yes.
Is he saying that he thought that Karen beat him up? And then I saw the guy.
That's what he's doing it, but he's doing it in a very choppy way where so none of us, including the jury, I imagine, can understand what he means. And this is just classic Lally. I mean, this is a joke.
Intentional.
Now, the following text messages are from your friends, is that correct?
Yes.
What do they say?
Bear, let's
he-
focus. What does she waffle to mean? What's the story? I responded, she hit him with her car.
And the she that you're referring to there, who is that?
Miss Reed.
Now turning your attention to the next page, 2535. Again, if you could start at the top of the page and read through that page and just indicate to the jury who is talking and what is being said.
Okay. My friend in Tennessee states, okay, that's fucked up. I respond, intentional or not. Then another response, gotcha. He was frozen in the driveway and she didn't see him, question mark. That's another animal we won't be able to prove. And then I respond, they arrived at the house together, gone to an argument.
It's another animal. We
Yell
won't.
louder, we're out of turn.
The objection's overruled.
Your Honor,
But
if I could say this, there needs to be an identifier for who's
I
speaking.
understand what you think the mix-up is. So, Mr. Lally, go back.
Thank you.
Can't follow this. I mean, it's
Sir, if
Scott, my amazing moderator, retired NYPD, says waffled is a cop/firefighter term hit by a car, truck, or train.
there you go.
Look at us learning something. Thanks, Scott, for laying the knowledge on us.
you could please, again, start at the top of the page and just indicate.
No,
as it
just
goes.
after the gotcha, he was frozen in the driveway, correct, Mr. Jackson?
That's correct, Your
On
Honor.
the
Thank you.
screen?
I respond, that's another animal we won't be able to prove. I follow that up. They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left. 781 number responds with, what's the name of the Canton cop living in Canton? The other one involved.
And how do you respond to that, sir?
There's several other messages before I issue a response.
Objection again. On the page.
So
Chloe's
it's not an
back.
objection, but Mr. Lally, why don't you point him?
So, sir, at the bottom of page 2535, you have a response. Is that correct?
I'm just going to mute you for a second.
Correct.
And what is that response?
They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left.
Objection.
So it's going to be a matter you can address on cross.
There has to be some accuracy. If the reading
So
is-
I
Yeah,
understand.
he's right.
So, Mr. Lally, why don't you go point for your witness?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Hmm.
He's like, there's got to be some accuracy. And then she says, you can address it on cross.
God, this is so clunky. If there's really, really bad stuff, which we know there is, I think Lally's making this worse. But I mean, he's just get to it. Get the rip that Band-Aid
Okay.
off and deal with it.
Get ahead of it. Yeah.
don't
It's
do
a
it at
HTML link, whiteout /Proctor iCloud /group chat Feb 2022.
All right.
So you point out.
So he sent a link.
Can I see what you have for a second, please?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, this is.
Mr. Lally, it's on there. Why don't you go show your witness?
She's like doing gymnastics.
Why don't you just read it, Mr. Lally, and tell us who you attribute it to?
Sure. So, sir, what I'm asking you about is the bottom of page 2535. Excuse me,
These ones don't go on the big board. You notice that?
Right. I
Everything-
want him on the big board.
No,
You
he-
indicated biffed him, correct?
Correct.
What did you mean by that?
That Miss Reed had struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
Now, sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2537.
he's getting tense. He looks really nervous.
Yeah.
Now, do you see a response toward the bottom of the page from yourself, January 29, 2022 at 11:04 p.m.?
Yes.
And can you read that response for the jury?
Yeah, but there'll be some serious charges brought on the girl.
And what did you mean by that, sir?
That throughout the course of the day, we had compelling evidence that Miss Reed struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
What compelling evidence?
And
That's not
you have
proper.
2 responses from friends, the same friends, at the bottom of that page, 2537.
He's using these text messages
That's correct.
to
And what are those?
bolster his testimony with essentially improper hearsay. This is, I mean,
Yeah.
all he's having him do is read the stuff so he can explain all the evidence they had.
So he can justify his
Yeah.
actions.
He's just literally bolstering his own witness's testimony with this spectacle.
What compelling evidence did they have that he was hit by a vehicle by 10:30 p.m. on the 29th?
No shoe.
Yeah, no shoe, right. And a couple of pieces of rando taillight that were never connected to anything.
Responses.
Keep your voice up loud, please. Trooper Proctor, jurors can't hear
And
you.
me.
Yes, Your Honor. Number ending in 5051. Got to be. I can only imagine what internal affairs of the BPD are trying to get out there. The second response, same number. She hot at least.
Here we
Is
go.
she hot at least?
Here we go.
What did he say about internal affairs? I want to hear that again. Did you catch it?
Something about they're going to be all over this or something like that.
Yes, Your Honor. Number ending in 5051. Got to be. I can only imagine what internal affairs of the BPD are trying to get out there. The second response, same number. She hot at least.
And turning your attention to the next page, 2538, at the top, if you could.
Well, Higgins thought she was
just
hot.
read a series of responses from yourself, correct?
Yes, sir.
Read from those, sir.
Yep. So these came from me. From all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. She's a whack job. CUNT.
Objection.
Why you
So
object?
don't spell it. You have
Oh, unless he wants him to read it. Got it. I wouldn't object. Let it all out.
Right,
So here he is,
So this-
10 feet away from her, calling her that.
right, exactly.
Why is she? Wow. Jury's going to love this guy, huh?
She's a whack job. He talked to her for what, half an hour? And she's a whack job? Says who? Jen McCabe?
Oh, she's worse than a whack job, according to him. That's
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper
Yep.
Proctor.
there
Yes,
you
Your
go.
Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
That's right.
Cunt. Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though.
So he whispers the
So-
C word and then says, yeah, she's a babe.
With a Fall River accent.
You can explain the meaning of that to us in a minute.
I believe what that's trying to imply, and again, for the Fall River type people, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you from a Boston area kind of thing. I believe he's trying to say that, she's hot, but like kind of a low class accent type thing. I believe that's what that, if you said to someone had a Fall River accent, I believe that's what he's replying. Like she's not like Boston Brahmin, if you will, in the way
Like low comps at the hillside.
something like
Remember
that.
those low comps at the hillside? Wow.
Yeah.
And then when he whispers the C word, he doesn't even say the full sentence. He just says that word alone. Here, I just took it back a little bit.
Words, Trooper Proctor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Cunt. Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
Oh,
And sir, what is it that?
No
you are
ass?
no
referring to
ass.
there?
Like,
Why would
like
you say
she's
Like-
he's
like
great.
From all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. Is talking about the homeowner, Mr. Albert. I had mentioned the compelling evidence against Miss Reed at this point indicated that Mr. Albert had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's death. The
Did they
rest
even
of the unprofessional and regrettable comments are something I'm not proud of, and I
Yeah.
shouldn't have wrote
What?
in.
They're letting him say this? They're letting him narrate?
There's no question.
They're letting him describe they're letting him give a justification for what he did? Oh, wait until he's going to have to scream an objection right now. Taking that back a second.
O'Keefe's death. The rest of the unprofessional and regrettable comments are something I'm not proud of, and I shouldn't have wrote in a private or any type of setting.
Look at her, you coward. He won't even look at her.
Mea culpa.
What a piece of garbage he
At
is.
some point, if I could turn your attention to page 2540.
I'm surprised they're not showing her reaction, just the TV people. I mean, this is
Mhm.
And there's a photograph that's shared within this text communication. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
oh
And,
boy.
does it indicate who shared that photograph?
It's you,
the
dope.
prior page
Right?
possible.
He shared a photograph.
The number ending in 5051.
I guess not.
And who is depicted in that photograph that was shared within the group text?
It's Miss Reed being escorted out of the State Police Milton Barracks.
And these are all from February 1st of 2022, around that time frame. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, sir, if I could direct you to page 2543. And sir, if I could direct you to the top of the page and ask you to read through that page, indicating who's speaking and what the content of those communications are.
Okay. Number ending in 4146. Question is that chick a smoke? Again, 4146 question mark. I respond EH. I respond again, not bag, as Chief would say.
She's smoke show.
Right.
I also respond
Wait,
with
not
she's
a
got a
bag,
leaky
as
balloon knot.
Chief would say. Hold on.
Again, 4146 question mark. I respond EH. I respond again, not bag, as Chief would say.
Not bag, as Chief would say.
Not bad. But
I
maybe
also
one of these
respond
guys.
with, she's got a leaky balloon knot.
Whoa,
Leaks
whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, he's talking about a colostomy bag right
Wait.
here.
Can you go back to that?
Mm-hmm.
I respond EH. I respond again, not bag, as Chief would say.
Nut bag.
Not bad.
Nut bag.
I also respond with, she's got a leaky balloon knot, leaks poo.
Leaky balloon nut leaks. I think he's referring to a colostomy bag.
Is. What a sick. This is.
And how does he even know that?
This guy's married with kids. He's humiliating himself and disgracing himself. And this is the star witness that they've avoided calling. And here he is at 10 feet away. And he still, as far as I can tell, hasn't even looked at her once. And when he says, I'm not proud of it, why didn't he look at her and say, I shouldn't have said that. I apologize, whatever you did or didn't do.
And instead he looks at the jury.
He looks at the jury
pig.
as feels sorry for me.
Right. I'm the victim here. I can't believe I did this. And it's being shown to the world what I did.
And what, if anything, is that in reference to, sir?
Again, to Ms. Reed's some medical conditions there. Again, unprofessional comments I should not have made.
Why are they allowing him to apologize?
And I'm not proud of.
I'm not proud of, but I'm not looking to her. So he's leaking her personal medical
As far
information.
as
It was
attitudes
friends.
expressed,
To his friends. And how does he even know this about
It
her?
was high school buddies. So he called her, I guess, a whack job, another
Nut
word,
bag.
something else that I won't say.
Yeah.
A babe with a Fall River accent, which again, that's meant to be very insulting in terms of, in his mind, like she's like dirty, low class. Then he's describing her body in terms of how he perceives her. And then he's getting photos and asked if she's hot. And then he said she's wearing a bag, which now the whole world is hearing. This is sick. This is totally irrelevant to the case. And the defense has no choice but to let this come in because it helps them, because this guy will be disgraced beyond belief. But yet, when this is all over, and if Proctor gets charged for perjury and everything else, if that's what happens, and you talk about aggravating and mitigating factors, that, you know, your wife and kids that you throw out aren't going to be as mitigating as the aggravating that you just caused, what humiliation you just caused her in something that doesn't even matter to the case because you're such a disgusting Neanderthal pig.
And we haven't even gotten to the nudes part yet.
We haven't even gotten to the I hope she kills herself, and God knows about the nudes. You're right. He hasn't talked about that yet.
No, we're just talking about a colostomy bag condition. Okay, great.
Who this is a grown man, police officer, who says it leaks poo.
Revolted. I need a trash can now.
He is And this is
expressed within these text messages and other text messages. What, if any, impact did that have as far as your investigation was concerned?
come on.
regarding-
Really?
These
No,
juvenile unprofessional comments have zero impact on the facts and the evidence and the integrity of this investigation.
And we should believe you because you're trying to apologize now? Because you
I'm
call
not-
yourself juvenile and unprofessional?
I'm not sure this is the guy I would want looking at the jury and vouching for the integrity of the investigation. My God.
This guy and integrity should not even be in the same sentence.
They said these are unprofessional comments, but they absolutely do not detract from the integrity of the investigation or the facts and evidence of it.
Your Honor, may I approach this retreat?
Yes.
I was going to leave out the kill the nudes and the other stuff.
Unless he's got to go
Now,
to
Trooper Proctor,
page 700.
contained within, you've seen text messages amongst yourself and a variety of different people from that same sort of iCloud area of your personal phone, correct?
Correct.
And among those, are there communications that you had with members of the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Oh boy.
And how would you characterize?
Wait a minute, wait a
or
minute.
What was the?
Wait a minute. If this is where the nudes and kill herself, and it's with the Canton police rather than his high school buddies, that actually is much more devious given that they're mixed up in all this other stuff. This is.
But I thought Yannetti said it was with his high school buddies.
I thought he did too.
But maybe he's saying some other crap. Let's see. All right,
This-
hang on to your seats,
wow.
folks. If you're ahead, no spoilers, please.
General content of communications that you had with members of the Canton Police Department?
One communication was to coordinate interview times for firefighters and police officers and to set up a conference room where those interviews could be conducted. Obviously, the presence of Canton detectives or any police officers were not going to be sitting in on these interviews. Another communication was to inquire of relevant security videos that are in the area. Their local department, they know the area very well. So I reached out and asked if there's some good cameras in the area that I had of kind of interest in.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
This
You'd have
guy is the new national poster child of scumbag of scumbags for police officers, and this is all in front of the whole world while this poor woman is sitting here 10 feet away. I can't believe that with all the other problems in this case related to him and otherwise, but
Mhm.
knowing all of this jurors are people. I mean, you can instruct them all you want on the law and credibility, and he can get up there and say the evidence is what the evidence is. But does he seriously think that every juror is not going to look at him and say, I don't believe a word of what you say, you disgusting, revolting pig?
I'm really speechless, but I'm how did they bring this case? They brought this case because they didn't know this existed. The feds uncovered this stuff. So they were in way too deep.
So long, I know, but
But I mean, it's when you find this out, are you in shock and horror? Because I'm in shock and horror right now. The world is in shock and horror. Jen McCabe is not the only one in shock and horror. We all are now. And this should just be like case dismissed.
now, by the way,
We're done here.
those people who have been screaming and yelling about allegations that they've been harassed, which I'm agnostic on, whether, there are journalistic tactics that some people may criticize that doesn't necessarily rise to the level of criminal harassment. And there are other allegations that may, but, I don't know that
Right.
any of that's true. But are those people who are so, screaming and yelling on the witness stand about getting harassed, will they criticize their hero investigator, Michael Proctor, for this? Because this is off the charts harassment.
Mhm.
And to subject her and her family to sit in the courtroom and to listen to this, this is repulsive.
And I would like to see, the O'Keefe's faces now as they're watching this unfold before their eyes.
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be, sir?
Text communications between my sister and I.
Here we
Here we
go.
go, the
Your sister
gift.
Courtney, is that correct?
That's correct.
And similar to what I'd asked you about the prior packet, as far as a first message sent date and time, last message sent date and time, what is indicated on this first date?
First message sent date time, December 10th, 2021 at 9:33 p.m. Last message sent 8:30, 2022 at 8:48 p.m.
And 8:30, that's August 30th, is that correct?
I'm sorry, yes, August 30th, 2022.
And similarly to the other messages, is there an indication as far as how many number of messages were sent between yourself and your sister over that time period?
2,865.
And fair to say that the documents in front of you do not contain 2,865 messages?
Correct.
Now, just in reference to the first message on page 2662, the first page in this packet, do you see that from December 10th of 2021 at approximately 9:33 p.m.?
Yes.
And what does that indicate?
A text message from my sister.
And what does it say?
I called earlier, Dolph earlier, and mom was puking in the background.
And do you recall what that was in regard to?
From the sounds of it, my mother had the stomach bug.
Okay.
And sir, if I could direct your
Is this
attention.
pity for his
to,
own family? Is that
page
what this is?
2667.
Ten women on the jury. They're not
These are
going to.
text messages from
The time.
January 29th, 2022, between yourself and your sister Courtney, correct?
Correct.
And if you could read from the top of the page through the end, and please indicate to the jury as far as who's talking and who's saying what.
So I texted my sister at work, "What's up?" She responds, "What? Why?" I respond, "I just found a frozen to death on a front lawn in Canton this morning."
It?
Actually just
Just found-
interviewed Jen McCabe. Said she knows.
Just found a frozen to death on a front lawn. All right, let's
And
take
he's
that back.
about to say to his sister what Jennifer McCabe told me. This is unbelievable. This guy should have been fired 10 minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
She responds, "What? Why?" I respond, "I just found a frozen to death on a front lawn in Canton this morning."
It.
Just
It.
found a frozen to death on a front lawn this morning.
Talking about John O'Keefe. This is January 29th.
Yeah,
Is he calling John O'Keefe it?
I don't think so. I think the closed captions are wrong. I think it says, if you just listen, it says, I think I found I found a frozen to death on a lawn this morning.
Oh, all right, let
A
me.
frozen to death, like a body. So wait, just listen.
To death on a front lawn.
Wait.
I respond, "I just found a frozen to death on a front lawn in Canton this morning."
A
Maybe-
frozen to death on the front lawn.
Maybe
Actually
it's-
just
maybe
interviewed
it's
Jen
Chloe.
McCabe.
And then he says, actually just interviewed Jen McCabe.
Said she knows you.
Says she knows you. So Jen McCabe, during her interview with Proctor, says to Proctor, "Oh, I know your sister Courtney." That wasn't in any of the interviews, was it?
She made sure everybody knew we're all family here in Canton.
Don't you know who I am?
I am.
I know your sister Courtney. Can you do me a friendly, a little golden handshake? Nink, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
Incredible discipline by the defense to hold this back from McCabe and save it for the prospect of Proctor.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's tempting to really hit her with that, but
They could always bring her back if they want to, but
they can. I think he said it. I found it frozen on the lawn, but I guess
I thought you said they found a frozen body, but either way, it's disgusting.
yeah. Not a cop, not
And
a
the
Boston
note-
police officer, just a
Right.
random
No,
frozen. Like an EDP, as the cops used to say. Just that, someone was an EDP, they were emotionally disturbed. They weren't really
Mhm.
human. This guy's, John O'Keefe is just a frozen.
right.
You.
And the knows you, who are you referring to?
My sister.
And how did your sister respond to that?
Cut the shit. I responded, "You." It was a typo correction with my response to you. She responded, yeah, she knows Jack very well. She's really good friends with Julie. My sister continues on. Her sister is married to Brian Albert. My sister asks, you still working, question mark. I says, yeah, going to be out for a while, homicide.
And as far as your answers to those questions, or as far as your communications that you had with your sister at this time on the afternoon of January 29th, what were those in regard to, or why were you communicating that to your sister?
At that time, it was just kind of
Telling her
in
about
the
my day.
news. I was just kind of letting her know I was out working. She didn't share anything specific. I wouldn't share anything specific on cases with my family or anyone.
What?
It was just,
But you just said I just interviewed Jen McCabe and she said she knows you.
I won't share anything about cases. He just talked about the whack job. See you next Tuesday. Who's a babe from Fall River, although she
With a
looks
flat
like
ass.
this with a, as you said, and
Yep.
she's lovely, but she wears a bag, and she, you know, she ran him. She waffled him, and then 10 minutes later, he just says, "I would never share anything about a case with anyone." This guy is a lying sack of shit.
That's right.
On top of everything else.
Mm-hmm. And isn't that perjury that we can reprove just from his testimony?
I mean, how incredible can this guy be?
I would never share anything about a case.
He just literally said that 10 minutes after he got walked through those awful things he said about Karen Reed.
Oh my God.
it was just kind of in the news. I was just kind of letting her know I was out working.
I got a big case.
She
Look
didn't
at
share
me.
anything specific. I wouldn't share anything specific on cases with my family or anyone. It was just kind of an overall innocent conversation.
Innocent.
Nice word choice.
Now, turning your attention to the next page, 2669. Again, if you could read from that page as far as who was talking and what the content is.
All right. My sister starts off, the Canton thing is a homicide. I respond, this is at 3 in the afternoon on the 29th. Don't say a word to anyone. She said, of course not. I respond, in the very least, it's suspicious. She responds, this is your livelihood. And then I would never miss with that. 3:07, I respond, Julie and Chris were at the bar with the victim and girlfriend. Got to interview them.
Oh, so knowing that his sister is like besties with Julie's sister or something, he's telling her, I got to interview them. So, give them the heads up.
A very subtle way of leaking without looking like you're leaking that what's
Turn your
coming.
attention to page 2672. These are messages from February 1st, 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the one at the top starts about February 1st, 5:57 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, if you could read through as far as who's speaking and what the content of those messages are.
I texted my sister, what's up? She responded, nothing. I just saw Julie, and she said, when this is all over, she wants to get you a thank you gift. And I respond, get Elizabeth one. Elizabeth's my wife.
Oh, let's just brush that off. That's the day that Karen Reed is arrested, by the way. I don't know what
Yep.
time she was arrested, but this is 5:57 p.m. and Julie Albert already knows she's been arrested and is already offering a thank you gift.
This guy checks off
Okay, in my-
every flashpoint for having terrible credibility. He's just a dirtbag. He's a liar within 10 minutes of talking about this. He is by definition corrupt in light of what you just heard about, Julie wants to get you a gift. Well, get my wife something. I mean, that is like literally corruption. To get a reward for investigating. He's leaking information. He's saying he's not. I mean, this guy, and he's the one who's hanging out in the Sally Port by the taillight. And Lally's going to get up at the end of the case and basically say, this guy's a credible witness. And when him and Yuri said he didn't do anything, these are guys you can trust.
Yeah.
If you live in Norfolk County, I would be terrified by what goes on and what they're doing, because there is no chance that Karen Reed is getting convicted. None. I mean, I don't think there was before today, but If this doesn't seal the deal, my God.
I need a shower.
My sister responds, because I guess her and Chris were friends with John, and she's so proud of you for leading this. And then she writes, Elizabeth, question mark. I respond with, she's been stuck with the kids for the last 10 nights. My sister responded with, yeah, but she knew what life is like married to a cop.
And sir, as far as the gift that's mentioned, as far as Julie Albert, is that anything that you had received at any point in time?
I never received a gift. I never asked for a gift. My wife never received a gift. She,
As if that matters.
This guy, you know, he's the classic example of somebody who wants a pity party for himself and who purports to apologize, but he has no sincere remorse at all. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. This guy is so disgusting.
Just because he called his comments juvenile and unprofessional does not mean he really means it.
I
No
mean,
self-awareness, zero.
He sounds like a child who gets caught with their hand in the cookie jar and is like, oh, I'll just apologize, but I don't really mean it, but I have to. And
Right.
he feels sorry for himself because he got caught.
He's sorry that he got caught. Exactly what I was going to say. He's not sorry that he did it. He's sorry he got caught and that the world
Clearly.
is watching. And that
Because
he'll be embarrassed by this.
He's apologizing with condition. I didn't do
Mhm.
anything. I didn't get anything. Everything's qualified. It's not as bad as it sounds.
Mm-hmm. And I regret sending juvenile and unprofessional messages, but the investigation did not lose its integrity. And I never took a gift anyway. I never took one. Never took a gift.
This is
you never asked for a gift.
You never asked for a gift. Okay, I got to take it back a second.
And sir, as far as the gift that's mentioned, as far as Julie Albert, is that anything that you had received at any point in time?
I never received a gift. I never asked for a gift. My wife never received a gift. She never asked for a gift.
No, it's offer.
So how would you describe this context of this conversation, or why that's being discussed at this time?
Again, I don't know the thought process of my sister and Julie as far as bringing that idea of a gift into play. Like I said, I didn't ask for one. I never received one. The same with my wife.
You said, get my wife something. That was
Right.
your idea. It just
Mhm.
didn't happen because the case isn't over.
Right.
But that was your idea. What a piece of
Yeah.
garbage this guy is.
You know, the original witness statements of Julie and Chris Albert say that they followed back to 34 Fairview after going to Waterfall.
I know.
Can't wait to hear if he gets crossed on that.
Sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2676. And again, if I could ask you to start at the top of the page and read through and just indicate as far as who is saying, who is speaking and what they're talking.
I start out, we write like 8 to 12 warrants on each case. My sister responded, no, I have no idea what the hell you do or how it works. I responded on the 10th at 7:36 p.m. I'm starving, but I also just want to go home. Thanks, though. My sister responds, yeah, but is dinner going to be waiting? She responded with, ha, ha, ha. And then I responded, yep. And then my sister responded with, okay, it's fine. Mom and I just don't want to go home.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
He's trying to run out the clock here, mixing in a little irrelevant
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
I think people are not paying attention. You know, they started listening when you heard about, you know, whack job and what came next, buddy.
Mm-hmm. The
May I
C
approach the
word.
witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
He's not, somebody's right in the comments. He's not deflating this at all. He's not humanizing him. He's making him look like a feeling sorry for himself. This is
Documents,
worse.
do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that?
This is private messages between my wife and I.
Oh.
Boy.
He's
Again,
going to say,
did
what do you want for a gift, babe?
Elizabeth.
And what, if anything, does that indicate as far as dates and times and number of messages involved?
Okay, so the first message sent 5:20, 2022 at 6:19 p.m. The last message sent 8:31, 2022 at 9:16 p.m.
And what, if any, indication does it give as far as number of messages within that text chain?
1,632.
And of those 1,162, there's one message that's listed on that. Is that correct?
Is this the killer
Correct.
said to the
And,
wife?
what is the date and time of that message, and what does it say, and who's speaking?
This is me speaking on June 9th, 2022 at 4:56 p.m. I text my wife, waiting to lock this whack job up.
Waiting to lock this whack job up. This
So
is
this
when she was arrested.
Yes, for murder. When after they indicted her for murder, they're going to
Mhm.
rearrest her. And we're now 6 months later, and we've returned to the word whack job. So he called her a whack job in February, and he's continuing to call her a whack job.
And a nutbag too. So like, he's, changing up his verbiage a little bit. So I want to see what time this was, because I don't know what time she was arrested, but we know from Buchanan's body cam when he's with her and she says, we're all in on the same joke, right?
Right.
Right. John Colin and Brian Albert beat up John. My taillight was cracked and John was pulverized. That's the time that they lock her up.
And who's speaking? And what is the date and time of that message, and what does it say, and who's speaking?
This is me speaking on June 9th, 2022 at 4:56 p.m. I text my wife, waiting to lock this whack job up.
And what are you referring to in that text, sir?
I'm referring to the arrest after Ms. Reed was indicted by the grand jury.
And again, as far as the terminology that you use in that text message to your wife, why is it?
Why is it?
Again, unprofessional messages I should not have sent. I don't have an explanation other than they're regrettable and it's something I'm not proud of, the language I used.
May I approach to retrieve your?
Yes.
Putting it mildly.
He has no sincerity. He just
I
got
know.
So Trooper Proctor, the jurors can't hear you. So speak directly into your
for her.
microphone the way I'm doing, okay?
You know
Yes,
what?
Your Honor.
This is interesting because she's doing this in front of the jury, and she's actually being very stern and basically saying, they can't hear you, speak louder. We all want to hear you, sir. And earlier, the same thing with the see you next Tuesday thing, where she said, no, let's hear it. She's actually telegraphing to the jury, I'm repulsed too.
Right. And I'm not going to let him get away with his tail between his
No.
legs.
Doesn't
and,
matter what I think
whispering.
about, right, the case or whatever, but this, you all need to hear this.
Right. And I'm not going to turn off the air conditioning for you to hear it, because I want you
Right,
to be comfortable while
exactly,
you're hearing this.
Exactly. Wow. This is unbelievable.
Say it again, sir.
There you go. Show her. That's right. You give him the death stare. Good for you.
Yep.
I would be staring right at you. That's right. Don't look away. Look right at him, and he won't look at you. And the jury's going to see it.
Yep. She did it with Higgins too,
Oh,
from what I hear. Stared at him the whole time. Jen McCabe, all of them.
she's pretty.
You have the
confident.
right to face your accuser.
Yep. Yeah, that's the look right there. Just look right at him, and he'll look away like a gutless coward.
Spineless jellyfish.
Yeah.
Maybe approach on this one.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't know how bad it was.
Personal phone
No, this is pretty bad, and we still
within
have.
the same text communications
So-
that's now, Trooper Proctor, you're familiar with conversations that within the same text communications from your personal phone with colleagues of yours at the state police?
Yes.
Him and
Your
Yuri.
Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Yeah, give us a book. We may catch up to real time. Look at us.
Have a moment with counsel.
Okay.
Can I have a moment with counsel? I would just like to see him like smack him across the face. Like a potch, as we would say in Italian.
God, they deserve all of this. I mean,
Potch on the hiney.
can you imagine having a case that's already got so many problems, and it's not like Proctor's a minor player here. He's the guy from the police. He found the
Mhm.
evidence, he vouchered the evidence, he collected the evidence, he took the witness statements. He's all over this, and
Mhm.
then you get all of this, and with a straight face, what you're going to get up in summation and say, well, yeah, Proctor's a little gross, but he's a credible witness. It didn't impact the investigation, and
No, he's just a case manager now.
the case manager, so he really doesn't matter.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Somebody asked if the Keefs know what these messages say. Do you think
Before I get into that, though,
What was that?
if I could turn your
What
attention.
did somebody
somebody
ask?
in the chat, do you think that the O'Keefes know about these messages? Do you think Lally gave them the heads up ahead of time to say, here's what's going to come in? Want you guys to know about this? I wonder.
Probably not, only because maybe it wasn't entirely clear that they were going to call him. And although they'd want to let the victim's family know how the case works, I don't know that they would literally give up this guy with that kind of stuff. Maybe once they made the decision, it was clear he was going to testify. But my guess is no. My guess is they're sitting here hearing this for the first time too. And can you imagine being John O'Keefe's mother?
No, because she's very anti-Karen from what I hear.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less after this. Maybe not best friends, obviously, but I mean, they're two mothers. Can you imagine mother to mother? We have to listen to this pig.
Back to some of the comments on the language used in the January 29th and February 1st or 2nd text communications among your friend group. With reference to that particular time frame and the language that you used, what sort of information had you gathered to that point, and why would you say or use that particular language particularly in your descriptions of the defendant?
So this is, 16, 18 hours later. And I conducted multiple interviews.
Speak up.
Conducted multiple interviews. We knew Mr. O'Keefe never went into Fairview Road. We knew there was one shoe at the scene.
We knew he never went into Fairview Road,
That's
so we.
I mean, that's like a factual statement that he can't possibly say.
Right.
And now he's using this to justify why I called her, whatever he called her. I mean, this is ridiculous.
One shoe at the hospital. Based off Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, Miss Reed's statements when Sergeant Buchanan and I interviewed her, her broken taillight, the missing taillight, some taillight pieces found at the scene, the compelling evidence pointing directly at Miss Reed that she struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle led me to make those comments. Whether, like I said, they weren't professional comments, but
So you've convicted her in the same day that you first maybe started interviewing people. Same day you've cracked the
Wait a minute.
case. You want to rewind it? Yeah.
No, you don't have to play it. I don't need you to, he's saying, I thought she was guilty. So we arrested her and I think she's guilty. So that is what I was thinking when I said, she's a whack job. She's this, she's awful. Now I'm mocking her physical and or physical health.
Fall River accent.
What does that have to do with whether, look, I know that you have police officers who watch this, who they have a million cops that I would talk to who are professionals. They arrest people. They think they commit crimes. They do whatever, but they don't talk about defendants like this. And like one has nothing to do with the other. They do a job and it is what it is. And this guy is so gross. I mean, you thought he was gross 2 minutes ago. He's so gross that now him and Lally are going to say the reason I called her these things is because I think she mowed down her boyfriend, as if that has any relationship to any of this.
It just makes it feel so personal. Why is it so personal to him? Why? It's another defendant, right? I mean, it's a case. It's another day. It's just another Tuesday, right?
Maybe she did something terrible in your eyes. But the worst part, I think, with what's happening right now is Lally asking these questions, knowing this is going to be the answer. Have some dignity. Can you possibly, as a representative of, the people, I would say people, I'm back to our New York thing. I do this all the time. The Commonwealth, with a straight face, argue, and you're going to argue in front of a jury that no matter how distasteful this is, the reason he did it is because, he knew she was guilty. This is so gross. And he still hasn't looked at her. And he, even if he
Looking right at the jury.
Even if you think she's guilty, I misread. I never should have said that, and I apologize.
But why even ask him that question? Why did you say this? Who cares about the why? It doesn't matter. It's done.
Well, my point is this reflects as badly on Lally as it does on Proctor, because shame on him for giving this clown this platform to do his pity party and then try to wrap it around. Yeah, but she's guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Disgusting.
As if he prepped him to say this.
As if he prepped him to say it. Lally is disgusting as much as Proctor is for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Led me to make those comments. Whether, like I said, they weren't professional comments, but based on the day's investigation,
one day,
it was clear that Miss Reed had struck Mr. O'Keefe with their vehicle.
It was clear in one day.
Sir, if I could turn your attention to the documents before you, do you recognize those?
I do.
Just when you think there can't be any more, there's more.
As far as the participants in that particular conversation, who are the participants?
Oh, more conversations with other people.
It's Trooper David DeChico and myself.
And Trooper DeChico and yourself.
Cue the
both work
sirens.
In the same unit with the state police, is that correct?
Chico is one who
Correct.
found evidence with him. It's going to take him over
beyond the professional relationship you have with yourself, between yourself and Trooper DeChico, how would you characterize your relationship, generally speaking?
We're buddies, we go off together, hang outside of work, our kids play together. So I'd say, we're friends.
Here comes the
Now,
suicide
within
stuff.
again, as far as the first message sent, date and time, and last message sent, date and time within this conversation, if you could describe that for the jury.
First message sent, date and time, March 17th, 2022, 11:08 a.m.
St. Patrick's Day.
Last message sent, date and time, August 18th, 2022, 6:08 a.m.
And again, the number of messages listed within this text chain.
87.
And fair to say the documents before you do not contain 87 text messages, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Now, just in general terms, if you have an opportunity to just look at the first couple pages there, fair to say those are just sort of jokes that you have going back and forth between yourself and Trooper DeChico. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, if I could turn your attention specifically to page 2632. And these are text messages starting on April 28th, 2022 at 10:52 in the morning. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was the time again, sir?
April 28th, 2022, 10:52 a.m.
Yes, correct.
And again, sir, with reference to this page, if you could read the content to the jury and please indicate who is speaking at each respective times.
Okay. I start out without a doubt. He's got diarrhea of the mouth too. Trooper DeChico, rookie move, not going into a meeting with the ME and getting that homicide determination. I respond, Yuri and I had two conference calls with her, sent her numerous photos, etc.
Do you think they're trying to influence the ME what to put in her report?
There it is. I've been talking about this for weeks, about this absurd autopsy report where they have no manner of death, they have no cause of death, but it wasn't from a fight.
Yeah.
And now you're learning that Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, Yuri and Proctor, are having conference calls and working the ME. They're arguing their case before she's even made a determination. Look at these photos. Can't be this, can't be that. They have totally compromised the medical examiner.
Yeah. Is this between him and DeChico, or this is between him and Yuri?
I think that he's talking to DeChico, but he's saying me and Yuri had two conference calls with and sent her photos.
Irene Scorti Bello. All right, I'm just taking that back to the question to the.
So I start out without a doubt. He's got diarrhea of the mouth too. Trooper DeChico, rookie move, not going into a meeting with the ME and getting that homicide determination.
Rookie move.
I respond, Yuri and I had 2 conference calls with her, sent her numerous photos, etc. We laid out the entire case for her. Trooper DeChico responds, not good enough, should have had me or Jeff do it. I respond, if you two did it, she would have made it accidental or natural causes.
They have an undetermined, for those of you who don't know, manner of death on the death certificate. There's 5 options: homicide, suicide, accidental, natural, and undetermined. The medical examiner on the death certificate put undetermined. It's never been amended. It's never been changed. It's redacted when it goes back into the jury, but they're allowed to question the medical examiner on it.
If these people had a shred of dignity, and you know that Adam Lally has 0 because he's like doing this as if this is going to help me when this guy gets cross-examined. He just introduced evidence where Proctor basically said that if Yuri had done this the right way or whatever, the ME would have screwed us. We would have gotten, an accidental death. In other words,
Rookie move.
we need the ME to do what we need to bring this case, as opposed to the ME being a scientist who's supposed to make scientific conclusions, being pressured by these guys, shown evidence. They're summing up on what it is. And then the 3 state police guys are lamenting the fact that if we did it the other way, Yuri would have pressured her so much that she would have just said, I'm calling it accidental or something like that. This case should be dismissed immediately. Immediately.
Too sweet. Too sweet. They're telling us that the ME is compromised. Rookie move. You should have sent me in there. I would have got her to do what we wanted.
People need to understand that on top of proving whether Karen Reed had anything to do with this, they have now destroyed the fact that John O'Keefe's death is even a crime at all committed by anyone. They have totally rigged any finding where the ME now comes in and says anything to do with that. This could have been consistent with that, but I know it's not a fight. And she's going to get crushed on cross by these meatheads saying they pressured her. And if you're the ME, are you going to testify voluntarily at this point?
Are you going to risk your career over this?
Over this? This is so disgusting. This is a level that this case is so corrupt. This guy is so awful. And Yuri, and again, I really give the defense attorneys a lot of credit for having the discipline to wait, because, if Proctor doesn't testify, they might have to potentially recall these people and do it a different way. And they could have crushed Yuri with this, and they didn't. They sat and waited because they knew this loser was going to come in for some reason, which I still don't understand. Because you could also argue they're on top of everything else, they're trying to fix a result and pressure a medical examiner to give them what they want. This is another form of corruption. They're trying to rig the evaluation of a scientist to help their criminal case.
And they say rookie move as if they'd done it before. This was not the first time. You should have let me do it.
You idiot.
Yuri and I had 2 conference calls with her, sent her numerous photos. She still wouldn't change from undetermined to homicide, right?
And then
wow.
What does she do? Say, I'll give you this. Okay, fine. No fight. No fight.
Right.
Leave me alone. No fight.
And this was, remember, she did the autopsy right around beginning of February. So this is April. They're still arguing with the ME, trying to get her to change her report.
They are trying to get the ME to change her unfounded and make it a homicide, vehicular, all of that. And presumably, if they're doing this in late April, this is when they're trying to upgrade the charge to murder.
Yeah.
This is probably around the time where the grand jury is going, or they're certainly going in that path. Compromise is not the right. The ME is not. I agree with what Scott said. The ME is not literally compromised. What I mean is, if anything, she held them off, sort of.
Right.
But her testimony is compromised. She will not be an effective witness for the prosecution, and she still, although people can understand, gave them, okay, no punching, no hitting, no accident, and that discredits her. Doesn't make her
Not consistent with the fight. Yeah.
right. It doesn't make her a bad person per se. I mean, she's getting bullied by these cops, but as far as her impact on the
He was
case,
being bullied. Yeah.
her testimony is worthless to the prosecution. And
How
this
many other
guy,
cases have they done this in?
this guy, we're told, is still an active duty
Yeah. I was going to
state
say that.
police officer investigating homicides, including that god awful Brian Walsh case, which
Mhm.
is about as bad as it gets. This guy,
I can't believe he's still employed.
Well, he won't be. He gets his due process too. He's toast. I mean, he can't survive this.
Maybe they cuff him on his way out of the courtroom. We'll see.
And can you explain the context of those communications, or what
Here we go.
exactly is it that
I was
you and
upset because she's
Chico are
guilty. Watch
talking
this.
about
Right.
in that communication?
Okay. So the ME is the medical examiner. They conducted the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe.
Cue the
Our
sirens.
office, it's kind of a little bit of a locker room.
Hold on, wait for the ambulance and then speak up. The jurors
Honor.
can't hear you way back where the court officer's standing.
He lost the judge.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly. I mean, she's still a woman who listens to this crap.
So like I said, the ME stands for medical examiner. They conducted the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe. I guess I'll address the conference calls Sergeant Buchanan and I had with the medical examiner. The doctor had some questions as to the
No, she didn't.
facts and evidence, kind of what had transpired, which is common. You know, even if it's a homicide, I've had many calls with the medical examiner's office, even if it's a suicide or overdose. I wouldn't say almost.
But there is no
always
manner
with
of
a
death. That's
homicide.
the
The
whole
doctor
point.
wants to know what transpired.
No, the doctor is going to tell you what transpired. The doctor is telling you what the cause of. You're not telling her what the cause of death is. That's
He's
her
trying-
job.
He's trying
You
to
ever watch
equate this-
Quincy?
right as a foregone conclusion. It's a homicide, and she's saying, I can't determine that based upon what I'm looking at. I don't know that.
He's acting like these calls were to help her.
Right.
Trooper
Instead of
Chico and myself, we
influence
kind
her.
of like to bust each other's chops, go back and forth.
Oh,
So that's what he meant by saying
what he meant. He knows what he meant.
rookie
now.
move, not
Yep.
going into a meeting with the ME and getting that homicide determination. The original determination came back.
Objection.
What?
Sustained. Next question, Mr. Riley.
Now, as far as
He knows. You see that? He's like, oh.
Mhm.
attending the autopsy, is that something that typically someone within your office would do, within your unit would do with regard to any sort of death investigation?
Yes.
And do you know who attended the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe in this specific case?
Trooper Connor Keefe.
And so as far as Trooper Chico's reference to you not going in, or Sergeant Buchanan not going in, is that what you believe Trooper Chico was referring to in that message?
Objection.
Sustained as to the form.
You indicated that you and Trooper Chico bust each other's chops. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And can you describe a little more, expound upon that as far as the nature of your relationship and sort of the text messages that you exchange in this and then other communications that you have?
Basically just, kind of needling each other, and him doing that is by texting me, rookie move, not going into meeting with the medical examiner. So that's a perfect example of him kind of just needling me, which we do on a daily basis.
And as far as your interpretation of that, did you interpret that as a serious comment or something said in jest?
I interpreted that as a typical joke from Trooper Chico.
Now, may I approach to retrieve?
Yes.
No, he had been seen by the ME. The autopsy was in February. These messages are in April.
Oh yeah, they want to change. They're trying to pressure her. We need a
Mhm.
homicide.
Yeah,
We're
you
gonna
need to
fight.
change
We're
your
gonna fight
report.
Murder. I need a homicide.
Yes.
Showing you another document, asking, do you recognize that?
Text messages, yes.
Do you recognize that to be?
Text messages between myself and Trooper Chico.
And again, what is the first message sent, date and time, last message sent, date and time, and number of messages contained therein?
First message sent, date and time, April 28th, 2022 at 1:09 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, April 28th, 2022, 4:45 p.m.
And the number of messages, sir.
4.
And if you could read the contents of those messages contained therein. Please indicate who's speaking.
So I start out, of course, it's undetermined. She was a whack job.
She was a whack job.
That's
The Emmy's a
whack-
whack job too?
3 whack. Oh, so she's a whack. That's not to Karen. That's to the ME, right?
Is he saying that the Emmy's a whack job? But you know that they say liars lie in threes. So we've heard whack job. This is the third time I think on whack job today.
Trooper, it's everyone else is the whack job. You're not the
Right.
problem, clearly.
No, no.
Trooper DeChico responds, "Dear God, WTF, what the hell is inconclusive about the whole thing?"
And as far as your indication there, as far as she was a whack job, who are you referring to there?
Miss Reed.
It doesn't make sense.
Now, as far as the undetermined of what you're talking about, what is sort of the content or the context of this conversation?
That would be the manner of death was determined to be undetermined by the medical examiner's office.
And so I ask you again, as far as your reference there in the bottom of the first page, as far as she was a whack job, whom do you believe you're referring to there?
Again,
Reed
He
or
just said
the
Karen Reed.
medical examiner?
Miss Reed.
Yep. Okay, so that's 3 whack jobs for Karen.
But that doesn't make sense. He really meant it. I think he really meant it about the medical examiner, but he doesn't want to say that because then when she comes up on the stand, she's going to say, he thinks I'm a whack job. Screw him.
You could be
I'm
right.
burying him. I
Yep.
don't know. It doesn't make sense. Why would he say she was a whack job when they're talking about the Emmys report?
May I approach your honor?
Yes.
That makes no sense. You're right. You guys, I hear you. They have to inspect everything very carefully because they don't trust Lally at this point to be turning over what
Nope.
they've already seen. So in case you guys are wondering why they're going over everything with a fine tooth comb, it's because Lally can't be trusted.
Your Honor, may I take just a second for counsel?
Can't believe we're going forward.
All right, little slide by. Look at that. We're going to catch up.
You just,
What time do you think she'll let them go? It's 3:37 right now.
I think she's going to let this go on. When do they usually shut down for late? It's 4:30.
4:15, wherever Lally thinks it's a good place to stop.
I think she'll say, we're going to work my full day, Mr. Lally.
View those, look up when you're finished. And what do you recognize those to be?
Another text thread between myself, Trooper DeChico, and Trooper Kukowski.
Not enough. There's
Trooper
still more.
Kwiatkowski is another trooper within your unit in the state police. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, if you could read from the first message sent, date and time, and the last message sent, date and time.
First message sent, date and time,
Can we stop for 1 sec? I just
5:24 to
extreme thoughts that come in.
Yeah.
I got to tell you something else that I think is brilliant by the defense. Because, you know, what real lawyers do, and you obviously appreciate this, is, you know, you never over deliver, you under deliver, and, you know, then give them more if you have it.
Mhm.
And they put out some of these texts in the opening, which were really offensive, standing on their own, enough to grasp the attention of the jurors, let them know this guy is a dirtbag, he did these terrible things. But they totally under-delivered, and you
Yeah.
know it's coming, and you hear the text, so you're waiting for it. Okay, this is going to be bad, but you know what? You had no idea how bad, and it's 1,000 times worse, and you're that much more outraged. So you heard about it in the beginning, but you're still learning new stuff now, and you're just absolutely repulsed. And if you're a juror, how could they possibly convict if for no other reason that the case is already weak and they have humiliated this woman today?
Yeah.
And the last thought before you play again is when you hear him in the beginning, well, he told his buddies this and that, but this guy is texting the whole world terrible things. This guy is an awful human being. So every time he apologizes, I'm sorry for the text I did to the ME. I'm sorry for the text to my high school buddies. I'm sorry to the text to DeChico. I'm sorry about the text to my sister. I'm sorry. Guy, it's you.
Yeah.
It's you. You're the loser and whack job.
You're the problem.
Exactly. He has just no self-awareness. This is so awful. But I blame the DA because they're trying to rationalize this by doing this. They have no shame.
They're giving him an opportunity to explain his piss poor behavior. And you're right. In the opening,
They're
we're thinking, okay, this is the worst that it's going to be, right? They already told us the worst. So we're prepared for the worst. And then they hit us with stuff that's even worse than we thought we were going to hear.
This prosecutor actually led him to and held him by the hand to give an explanation for what's happening by saying, tell us why you did this, and allowed this dirtbag to essentially summarize, because I know Karen Reed is guilty and I lost my mind because she's so guilty. So therefore I had to do all of these things. And as awful as that is for Proctor, and it is obviously, but for an attorney who represents the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the people, if you will, and is supposed to be the good guy in the white hat who's doing justice, to come in and excuse this without even a shred of remorse or
No.
well, this is another Lally problem. He has like no modulation. He's a drone. You might want to like soften your approach and say, I'm sure you recognize how awful this is. Can you explain why you would send such inappropriate? Lally, he's asking the questions in the same tone as he's asking witnesses about the snow on the apron and what Sully's kids do for sports from the bar. He has like no ability to even recognize what he's doing.
Zero compassion.
Zero.
And I think you are the one who said that he's got a personality that's like a dial tone. Was that you? Can I steal that from you? Was it you?
That was me. And then another day, I think I said he sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Wah, wah, wah.
And then the other day was that he was like the old guy from the Dunkin' Donuts commercials. So it's time to make the
donuts.
Clocks in and goes home. But he's part of the problem too. He's disgusting for doing this without a sense of even trying to say what it is. All right, I guess they're giving us notes. Hurry up, because he's starting cross. Okay.
2022, 9:21 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, 8/24/2022, 4:56 p.m.
And as far as the number of messages indicated within this text chain between yourself, Trooper Kukowski, and Trooper DeChico,
494.
fair to say the documents before you do not contain 494 text messages, correct?
Correct.
Just in reference to that first page 2635, first message sent, that's May 24th, 2022, around 9:21 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's a message sent from Trooper Kukowski. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is that?
Appears to be a picture of a toy Santa Claus.
Now, sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2644. If I could direct you to the bottom of the page, sir, and see the text from yourself at June 9th, 2022 at 11:19 p.m.
Yes.
Very bottom of the page. You know, I may approach just to point it out.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it, sir. Okay.
If you could read what you wrote on June 9th, 2022, around that time, sir.
If you like women who shit themselves.
And again, sir, what is it that you're referring to there?
Again, a regrettable comment I made about Miss Reed's medical condition.
He has no compassion at
None.
all.
Zero.
None.
Did he say if you like women who S themselves?
He's telling his buddy in the Massachusetts State Police, do you like women who shit themselves? Because he's telling a second group of people about. So he mentioned it in, I guess, February in the other messages?
To his friends.
Right. And then on June 9th, around the time, I guess they were arresting her, he's telling his partner, maybe she had an incident or something or needed.
Yeah, this is the second arrest.
Change or something. And so naturally, his first thought was, let me text my buddies and say, do you like women who, shit themselves?
And this is his two trooper buddies, DeChico and Krakowski. This is his troopers, his co-workers.
And again, sir, what
I rewound
is
it.
it that you're referring to there?
Again, a regrettable comment I made about Miss
We don't need
Reed's
to hear it
medical condition.
Now, if I could direct you to the following page, 2645.
It's like Lally's talking about widgets.
And
Yeah.
then if you could read from that page as far as who is, and indicate to the jury who is speaking and what is being said on page 2645.
I'm speaking right now. The statement she made tonight at age 7 was mental. Thank Christ it was on BWC, which is body worn camera.
We're all in on the same joke.
Trooper Kukowski responds, "That's her. Smoke." Trooper Kukowski again, "What'd she say?" I respond, "Said the Alberts beat the shit out of O'Keefe, left him for dead, and that's why her taillight was cracked. She's gross." Trooper DeChico, "Oh, fuck her, bitch."
Another great witness upcoming for
The Chico, yeah. Can't
Yeah.
wait to hear from him.
Thank you, sir. May I approach to retrieve your arm?
Looks like a puppy that just got
Sir, with
beaten.
reference to that last bit, as far as June 9th, 2022, what was going on that day in reference to this matter again?
Miss Reed was being processed at the Milton Barracks.
Thank you.
Sit down, Lally. You've said enough. What more could you possibly
May I have
add?
just a moment, Your Honor.
He did this in the worst way. He shouldn't have done this. He should have let Jackson just bring it all out if he's going to
Yep.
do it this way. Because now it's just like a double direct. You're going to
Coach.
hear it all
Recognize
again.
those.
I do.
What do you recognize those to be?
Another text thread with members from my office, troopers.
Great.
Who now?
And who are the
What great
troopers that are
case.
listed within that?
Trooper Chris Moore, Trooper Jeff Kukowski, Lieutenant John Fanning, Trooper Dave DeChico, and Sergeant Yuri Buchanan.
Oh, good.
And what is
Oh.
the first message sent, date and time?
That would be 5/26/2022 at 8:19 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, 8/26/2022, 5:36 p.m.
That's during the grand jury.
And what is listed as far as the number of messages within this chain?
651.
And fair to say the documents before you do not contain all 651 of those messages within this chain. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, page 2682.
You know what's bad about this too
Mhm.
is that I mean, look, we
see a
crap on
message.
bad cops, and this guy is the epitome of bad cop. I mean, look, there are plenty of bad everything,
Mhm.
but this guy is going to damage to the extent there's not already a lot of damage about a lot of people's public perception of police officers as, and it's not fair to label them all. It's totally unfair. Most cops are very good. They risk their lives to save people they don't know, all that kind of thing. But this guy, is on TV. Everyone's going to be talking about this, is going to make people think that these losers in the Massachusetts State Police, which already has a pathetic reputation anyway, sit around all day and have nothing better to do than talk about the body, mental state, and physical state of someone they arrested and probably planted evidence against. I mean, does anybody at this point seriously think these losers are not capable of planting evidence? But people in Oklahoma are going to say all cops are like this. This is totally unfair to legitimate police officers to have to see this.
Mm-hmm. But nobody hates a dirty cop more than a good cop.
That's
right?
true. Yep. Nobody hates dirty prosecutors more than prosecutors and ex-prosecutors.
That's right.
Sent from Trooper DeChico on August 17th, 2022 at 9:42 p.m.
Yes.
And is that an image contained on the next page, which is 2683?
Oh boy.
Yes, it is.
And what is the image of?
That is a picture of Mr. Yannetti. Appears to be from quite some time ago.
Whoa.
I'm turning your attention to the next page, 2684.
That was in May.
August, I think.
And there's a response from you, August 17th, 2022 at 9:44 p.m. Is that correct?
I hate that asshole. Something like that.
Sorry, sir, go with the date and time again, please.
Sure. Page 2684, 8/17/2022, 9:44 p.m.
Tell Yannetti what you said
You
about
see
him.
there's like sort of three
Yeah.
responses from you.
I have you now.
If you could just read the three responses from yourself, sir.
Okay, so these came from me. Funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. No nude so far. I hate that man. I truly hate him.
Oh my God.
No nudes so far. In August.
And sharing it with the whole crew of state guys that are involved in this case. Now, that's probably not a warrantless search at that point, as if, again, shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic for this guy. But so I hate the lawyer, uses a nice word to describe people who maybe, not like him. And then he's just back to saying, nude. So he's offending potentially disabled people, her. He's just offended everyone. This is
And he hates Yannetti, so that's why he's doing this. But he says no nudes so far. But in the opening, Yannetti said that he texted that to his childhood friends. So he may have texted that to them earlier. We just Lally didn't bring that out.
Yep.
So it may have been before the warrant, right?
That's true. And what's amazing is these messages through all these people are going on and on constantly this is a constant thing. This is not a one-off.
Mhm.
This guy is like truly disgusting. And the other thing is he hates the lawyer. He obviously hates Karen Reed. That can go to his credibility about why he would be fudging evidence and fudging testimony. He wants to just nail her. I hate her. I hate the lawyer. It's pretty rare when you have a situation where you would have a police officer who has actual bias against a defendant as opposed to just a general bias that anyone I arrest committed a crime. They could make a very credible argument that your testimony and it is, not accurate and is false deliberately because you hate her so much and you hate her lawyer too.
And I wonder what else they found on his phone with regard to other defendants.
Well, that's another thing. It's real concerning.
With reference to the investigation at this point, when you're talking about his client's phone, who are you referring to?
Miss Reed.
And with regards to the phone at that point, can you describe for the jury sort of what's going on?
Here we go. Lally's going to do it again.
2022 in regards to
Explain yourself.
Miss Reed's phone.
I'm looking for evidence.
So after obtaining a search warrant from Miss Reed's phone,
I had a search
we
warrant
weren't
this
able to
time.
extract any data from it until August of 2023. Troopers in my office knew of.
August of 2023.
That's what he said when they were able to extract it. Yeah.
So these messages are from 2023 or 2022.
I think
It wouldn't.
I think the messages are from 2022, but he's saying he didn't discover. That doesn't make any sense. He may be off.
I was going through the phone that evening. I was most interested in location data,
And nudes.
text messages, Google searches.
Haas
That was
long
the
to die
update
and
I
cold.
gave the troopers in the office. It was a distasteful joke. I should have gave a proper update instead of that. I wasn't able to go through the phone as thoroughly as possible because I came across some a text between an attorney and Miss Reed. So I had to stop going through her phone, and it made my supervisor aware of those communications.
That's believable.
Yeah.
I believe that. I
Yeah.
hate her. I hate the lawyer, but I'm definitely not going to look at that. No way
No.
would I look at what they said.
That's privileged. I can't go there. I'm
This
going to stop
case
right
needs to
there,
be-
he says.
This case should be dismissed tomorrow morning.
Now, just in reference to what you had just said, this is in August of 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
So after a
You said
search warrant
23,
is obtained for the defendant's phone, where did it go? You indicated you gave it to Trooper Garino, and where did it go from there?
Trooper Garino essentially hooks it up to a device called Gray Key, where it tries every possible combination passcodes in order to access the data contained in the phone.
And at that time, when you retrieved it pursuant to the search warrant, you didn't have the passcode to the defendant's phone. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that device is designed to sort of go through numbers and try to find a combination to get into the phone, correct?
Correct.
And so from the time that you had seized it in late January or on January 29, 2022, until this date in August of 2022, had you been able to get into the phone or see anything in the phone in those intervening months or 7 months between January and August?
No.
And so then at this time that you're sending this text message in August of 2022, is that around the time that you were first able to access the phone?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, that was the first time we were able to have access to the phone.
And with reference to your access to the phone, were you looking for nudes or anything like that in regard to the defendant?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Like I stated, I was most interested in Ms. Reed's location data, text communications, Google searches, things of that nature. More evidence contained within the phone.
What was she going to Google
So,
search?
sir,
How to
because
reverse?
At some point, you came across some
and hit someone?
information that caused you to sort of freeze your looking through the phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so, as far as that specific time period in August of 2022, when was the next time that you or any troopers from your office were able to actually look at any extraction of the defendant's phone?
So once I came across that text communication that took place on the 29th between Ms. Reed and an attorney, the phone had to be sent off to what they call a taint team to remove any attorney-client
Taint
privilege
team.
information from the phone, and then it would be returned to us as well as defense received a copy of that as well. I'm not positive on the time. It was quite a long turnaround for that process to have be completed.
Sometime at least in the spring or summer of 2023. Does that sound about right?
It sounds about right.
May I approach the retrieve, Your Honor?
Yes.
So the team took until 2023 to give it back. Really? So you didn't find
Yeah,
any
one more time.
nudes?
Yes. I'm going to see you at sidebar so I don't interrupt your cross.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
All right, so I'm going to see you at sidebar so I don't interrupt your cross.
Okay, good. We're going to get any cross today? Did
No,
people
no,
say that we were getting some?
She wants a real cry. She's. You
She-
haven't heard
think
that.
she's mad?
You haven't heard that from her. I don't want to interrupt your cross. I want
Yeah.
you to have a go at this
So
guy.
witnesses. We're trying to figure out the schedule this time. Before you start, then.
You are unmuted.
All right, so just before you start then, so we'll finish at 4. We're trying to figure out the schedule this time. I'm going to meet with the lawyers and witnesses. We're trying to work all that out, but as it looks right now, I thought it was going to interfere with another day this week. As it looks right now, it may not. At the most, it will be half an afternoon or something maybe on Friday, but it does now look good that we'll be able to continue with this. We're out tomorrow, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be full days, and we'll be able to keep moving. All right, Mr. Jackson, go right ahead.
Thank you.
We're going to put it back on.
In the summer of 2022, August 17th specifically, you were sitting at your desk, presumably alone at your office at about 10 p.m. at night, going through my client's personal cell phone, correct?
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, you were sitting there texting with your friends and colleagues at Massachusetts State Police about you going through her personal cell phone. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
And that included Trooper DeChico, is that right?
Get all the
Chico,
way-
yes, sir.
Name them all.
Trooper Fanning, Trooper Butnick, Trooper Moore, and Trooper Kutzkowski.
Kakowski.
Tell me that again.
Kakowski.
Kakowski.
Yes, sir.
Get all from the
All
witness.
the consonants are silent. Fair enough. Trooper Fanning and Trooper Butnick are your supervisors.
Yes.
And you were bragging to all 5 of them that you were going through Karen Reed's cell phone about 9:45 at night.
Objection.
I'll
How
allow it.
can you object to that?
No, I wasn't bragging, sir.
Grow up.
How did you refer to Ms. Reed in that text exchange where you informed them that you were going through her phone?
I use regrettable language. I said going through
No,
his
no.
retarded
Get it out loud.
client's phone right now.
You were shown a photograph of my colleague, Mr. Unetti, correct?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Oh, good. Show it.
Same document.
Absolutely. I'd introduce
Your
it,
Honor, I
put it on the
think court
board.
has
Mhm.
the copy that I was going to use.
I thought I gave him back to you.
Examination.
Publish it. We want to see it.
I can't believe he objected to this line of questioning after what he just did. What he should, another one who should.
He just objects when he doesn't. He's not going to like the answer. He has no basis.
Put
It's like
this
objection.
on-
This is really going to hurt my
You
case
received
even
the
worse.
Photograph.
Put it on the big board.
Actually, Your Honor, if I could, I would ask that this document be marked as next in
That's how
order.
you do it.
Come on, Craig. Put it up on the big screen,
Assuming the
Craig.
witness verifies its authenticity.
So go ahead.
Do you recognize this document?
I do, sir.
Same document that you were shown, copy of the same document that you were shown by Mr. Unetti, correct?
Mr.
Unetti.
I've done that twice. Mr. Lally.
Correct.
All right. Is that a true and accurate reflection of the text messages that you were exchanging with Chris Moore, Jeff Kakowski, John Fanning, Vito DeChico, and Yuri Buchanan?
Dude,
They're all going up.
you already looked at it.
The whole packet's going on the big board. If
Yes.
you want to.
I'd ask that this be Mark.
Okay, any objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have an objection? You just question it. You're just objecting to everybody seeing them?
She's calling him up and saying, what the hell is wrong with you? You just got all this evidence in for the first time in your life. You didn't put it up on the board. He wants his copy to go in so he can put it on the board, and you're objecting. She should have just said overruled, sit down. And
Right. The fact that she even entertains him at this point is mind-numbingly ridiculous. Go, Craig. Get it up there.
God, this is unbelievable.
Trooper Proctor, Trooper DeChico had sent you a photograph of my colleague, Mr. Yannetti, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, because of the technical issue, I'm not going to display on the
He's got a hard
may I
copy.
display this hard copy briefly? Sure. Thank you. You see that, gentlemen?
I do, sir.
Is that the photograph that you received?
Is
Yes.
it a meme?
Is that what you referred to on direct examination with Mr.
I
Lally?
think it's just a like
about
press
the
picture or
photograph
something.
of Mr. Yannetti?
Correct.
And then your response was what?
I hate that man. I truly hate that man.
Actually, your response was, I'm going through his retarded client's phone right now, correct?
Yes, after the picture, sir. Yes.
Who's
Look at Yannetti.
the retarded client?
He's loving this.
I
He's
was
like,
referring
look
to
at me.
Miss Reed again, unprofessional language.
I'm asking who you were referring to.
Miss
I know
Reed.
you got an
Usually
explanation.
he's typing away. Today he's like, I'm
Who
gonna
was
watch.
you referring to as retarded?
Miss Reed.
Karen Reed, the woman sitting to my left.
Yes, sir.
The subject of your investigation as a professional, correct?
Yes, sir.
As an unbiased, objective investigator, the person that you were investigating, you referred to your bosses as retarded, correct?
Again, poor language on my part.
Poor language is one way to put it. Completely offensive is another way to put it, right?
Objection.
I've got to sustain that, Mr. Jackson.
He could have been a lot. He could have.
After you referred to my client as retarded, then you decided to make a comment about Mr. Yannetti, her lawyer, correct?
Correct.
And what did you say about Mr. Yannetti again?
I hate that man. I truly hate that man.
I hate that man. I truly hate him,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
You didn't say I dislike him, disagree with him. You said I hate him, correct?
Correct, sir.
That's a visceral response to someone who's just doing a job, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask it differently.
Sure. Let me ask it this way. Were you upset or annoyed or pissed off that Karen Reed had gotten representation, legal representation, to represent her?
No, not at all. That's her right.
No, you're concerned about her rights?
Well, let me ask you this. In August of 2022, you said you absolutely hate it, correct?
I don't know if I used absolutely. Yeah, I didn't use absolutely, sir.
You used truly, correct?
Truly, yes.
How do you feel about him now? He's sitting right there.
I
Do
still
you
don't
feel
care
it?
for him now.
I'll let it stand.
How do you feel about him now? Wait, what did he say?
Care for him now.
How do you feel about him now? He's sitting right there.
I still don't care
Objection.
for him now.
I didn't
I'll
hear
let
you
it
say-
stand.
What did he say?
I still don't care for him. This guy is so tone deaf.
I
So
still
how-
don't care
how-
for him?
I still don't care for him. So he clearly, again, has no remorse about anything he's done. Yep,
What's
that's
the
what he said.
personal vendetta?
What did you tell your colleagues that you were looking for as you sat at almost 10 p.m. at night on a Wednesday night, August 17th, 2022, looking through Karen Reed's phone?
I didn't tell them I was looking through anything. They knew I was going through Miss Reed's phone. I provided a inappropriate joke as an update. They knew I was going through location data, text messages, Google searches. But like I had mentioned earlier, I had to stop.
Except Trooper Proctor, none of that really professional sounding stuff ended up in your comments to your bosses, did it?
Again, it was a poor joke.
Is that yes or no?
Did not know.
It did not.
No,
As a
sir.
matter of fact, what did you write after you talked about going through the quote retarded client's phone?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No nude so far.
No nudes so far, correct?
Correct.
And you said that to your bosses.
Yes, sir.
So they knew.
You
Yep,
were
and
looking
did
for
nothing.
naked photographs of Miss Reed on a Wednesday night as you sat in your office at 9:44 p.m., correct?
No, not correct.
You were home on your couch.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked for naked photos of a male suspect that you were investigating?
I don't look for naked photos on anyone's phones.
But you said you were looking for nudes of Miss Reed,
Like I had
correct?
said, Mr. Jackson, it was an inappropriate joke.
Are you going to get defensive now?
Sir, this is a citizen. She's a woman.
Mhm.
You were supposed to be objectively investigating. Does your text message to your colleagues at Massachusetts State Police reflect an objective investigation of a citizen?
Objection.
You can get part of that question and ask it again.
Do you believe that your text messages were reflective of an objective investigator?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Do you believe that, Trooper Proctor?
I believe poor jokes have, in unprofessional language, have no bearing on the integrity and the facts and physical evidence of this case.
It's not that they don't have any bearing
See how
on
defiant
facts
he
and
is?
integrity. It's that they have no place
Righteous
in a professional
indignation.
investigation because it shows bias, right?
Objection.
So I have to sustain that as asked. Go ahead and ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Ask it 5 different ways. We want to
You
hear
weren't so
everyone.
much as objectively investigating Karen Reed as objectifying her, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
You don't
right?
object to this. Let him
Rephrase the question,
go.
please.
You weren't so much as objectively investigating her as objectifying her in those moments, correct?
Again, Mr. Jackson, it was a poor choice of words and a joke that I should not have texted out. But from the start of the investigation, we didn't know what we had.
And your Trooper Proctor, your point in saying no nudes so far to your colleagues in Massachusetts State Police was to suggest that you were looking for nudes and you'd update them when you found them, correct?
Incorrect.
And they knew.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you find any nudes of
Again,
Karen Reed?
I didn't go through the photos, sir.
Did you find any nudes of Karen Reed?
I didn't go through the photos, sir.
You weren't successful in your quest.
I came across text messages from Miss Reed to another attorney on January 29th, so I had to stop looking through her phone.
So you got sidetracked before you could get to the naked pictures of Miss Reed. Is that what you're saying?
Objection.
Sustained.
These are just
Well
all
done.
ouch objections by Lally. I mean,
Well done.
To be
let it
clear, when
go.
you sent those text messages on that group chat, those text messages included, as we said, or as you said, not one, but 2 of your supervisors, correct?
Correct.
Were you ever reprimanded for your conduct in sending that text message?
Objection.
So that's sustained. Do we need to go to sidebar based on what you told me earlier?
Internal
We do not.
affairs.
Okay, so,
I'll ask it a different way.
okay.
Did either Trooper Fanning or Trooper Buchanan dress you down in a responsive text message in that text thread for doing something so abhorrent as looking for nudes or referring to nudes of a female suspect or subject of your investigation? Did that ever happen?
Not that I can recall.
As a matter of fact, in reference to one of the text messages in this same string, your boss, Yuri Buchanan, actually responded to the photo of Mr. Yannetti, didn't he?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
How could you object to that?
I don't like what it says.
It's an ouch objection, and it's completely fair game. I mean,
He did, sir.
It's gonna hurt my case.
stop the fight.
After
Joe.
you
Stop
received the
fight.
photo, that's when you said, I'm, quote, funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. Is that right?
Objection.
I'll allow this, but not too many more.
Sure. Is that correct? It's on the top of page
Yes, sir.
2685.
That's correct.
And your Buchanan liked that comment. Funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone.
Like a thumbs up or a love emoji or heart emoji or a thumbs up.
I'd ask.
I see you laughed at an image here, sir.
We laughed at it.
I can't tell if he
So it was a
liked
ha
that
ha.
comment, sir.
May I approach?
Yes.
I
Can't
don't know
tell
if
if
it's
you
just
liked
because
it.
it's faded or, yeah, my copy's faded.
Top 2685. You can use my copy if that helps.
All right. Thank you.
What do you see on the top of that page?
That Sergeant Buchanan liked it.
Like what?
The going through his retarded client's phone, sir.
May I approach?
Yes.
So your supervisors at Massachusetts State Police not only didn't ride you for making comments like this, encouraged it.
Objection.
Sustained.
Trooper Proctor, this is your direct chain of command. Is that right? You're a Buchanan.
Yes, sir.
Did you believe that your conduct was a misuse of your authority and power as you were going through her phone in August of 2022?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
There's no right answer.
No, I had a warrant signed by a district clerk, Stoughton District Clerk, to go through Miss Reed's phone. I don't think it was an abuse of power. I had every right to go through that phone.
Did the warrant say anything about looking for nudes of my client?
Objection.
Did it
No,
say anything about that?
Your Honor.
Okay, next question.
So that would be an abuse of the power that was given to you by the court, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
He has brought shame upon the house of Proctor.
Trooper Proctor, you'd agree that the hallmark of any good investigation, as you've been taught and others in Massachusetts State Police have been taught, is that the investigation and the investigator have to be fair. They have to be impartial. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Meaning that the investigation has to be free of conflicts, right?
Yes, sir.
The investigator has to be free of conflicts, right?
Yes,
The investigation has to be free of bias. Is that right?
correct.
You can't be biased against the person that you're investigating. That would compromise the entire thing, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Basically, you follow the evidence. You're supposed to follow the evidence wherever it takes you, right?
correct.
Good or bad, top to bottom, just follow the evidence and report it back. That's how an investigation is supposed to be run, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And these are things that you learn early on at Massachusetts State Police Academy and then in your detective training. Isn't that right?
It is.
And literally, it's part of an oath that you took at the academy that you will, quote, faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent on you as a Massachusetts State Police trooper, right?
Yes, sir.
You swore that oath.
I did.
When you start an investigation, everybody in that investigation should be treated exactly the same. Don't you believe that's true?
Correct.
Everybody, have you ever heard the phrase, everybody's a suspect until they're not? Right?
I've-
Objection.
Sustained.
It's especially important early in an investigation before all of the facts are known that the investigator is not compromised by bias, prejudice, right?
Correct.
Most important early in the investigation, because that's when the most things are up in the air. There's the cloud, the fog of not knowing exactly what the truth is, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
In other words, Trooper Proctor, you don't get to pick a suspect and then try to find evidence to support your choice, right?
Correct.
But in this case, it's exactly what you did, isn't it?
Absolutely not.
All right, Mr. Jackson, why don't we end for today?
This is
Okay.
as good a place as any. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
All right, so folks, we're off tomorrow. Those same three cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, read anything about the case, please disregard it, let us know. We'll see you Wednesday morning. So Wednesday,
Look at Karen.
Thursday,
If looks
Friday,
could
right
kill.
now, it's anticipated will be full days of testimony.
She knows. She's trying not to smile there. She's,
All right, so
She
one
has-
last time at sidebar for scheduling, okay?
so I guess it's over.
Yeah. How do you think the O'Keefes feel now? Jesus.
I'm sure shell shocked because there's this range of emotions, but so I can't believe how awful Adam Lally is for, I mean, many reasons, but
Yeah.
back to his just strategy mind and inability to read the room and just how to be a credible lawyer and relate to the jury and be persuasive and all that stuff. He makes a command decision that I'm putting this all out there myself. Okay, I can understand that. It was very clunky and all of that. But if you're going to do it, don't you want to like send a message to the jury? I'm repulsed too. And then you'll get back to it and say, but it doesn't affect the case. Instead, he does it in the same monotone that he did with everything else. He has no genuine emotion. He clearly doesn't care because he's going to have Proctor just say, well, I still think she's guilty, so who cares? Okay, not how I would have done it for sure if you're going to do it. But then on cross, given that you put it all out there, given that you're telling the jury this guy is a dirtbag and I have to take my lumps, why would you object so much? I mean, you just have to say to Proctor, you're on your own, my man. I'm
Right.
not part of this. I'm with the jury on this. I'm going to try to make them understand why it doesn't kill the case, but I'm not. And what does he do? He resorts to trying to defend him and be like, not allow Jackson the right to just crush him. He's awful. Awful.
I don't understand it. Lori says, thanks, Lori. Are these texts considered slander? If so, Karen will own Norfolk County.
She's going to own the county anyway, but I mean,
Just a witch. He's not even giving the excuse. He spoke so badly about Karen Reed because John was a brother in blue. He has zero integrity. His mother and wife must be so proud. This is the type we warn our daughters about.
and then, again, one of the things I've been harping at Lally, like just pounding him day after day with this whole trial is, can you at least prepare witnesses if you're going to call them? How was this guy and why he testified is beyond me. And if I were his lawyer, I would have said no way. But putting that aside, once you make the decision to call him and he's going to testify and you're going to talk about the text messages, don't you kind of talk about how you have to, like, you got to eat this? And by eat it, I mean, you have to eat it. If you need to cry, so be it. If you need to look at Karen Reed and say, I am sorry without condition. But instead, it turns into this defiant, she's still guilty. That's why I did it. And that search warrant allowed me the right to search. And I searched and I did nothing wrong. How could that jury
With a straight face,
with no genuine feeling,
no remorse, like an outright narcissist.
And now the jury's going to sit on this for a day, just thinking about nothing but this.
Thank you, Vet Girl, for your very generous $50 super chat. I'm sorry, but if he took her phone prior, how is he looking at texts between her and her attorney? In my opinion, he's monitoring a live mirrored phone.
I don't know.
This was in August, and she was probably communicating with her attorney since, in January. Well, yeah, right?
I don't know.
If he seized her phone on the 29th,
but he's probably
January.
He's probably got a hard copy of the phone. So whatever he got it, the communications are probably stopped. I mean, I unless they have it where she still has the same iCloud, the same whatever, and it's updating repeatedly, at which point he could have been monitoring like a live phone. Probably what they had was like a snapshot of up to January 29th, which is why I think he also said, I saw a conversation she had with a lawyer, whether it was Yannetti or somebody else on that day, which, by the way, that's actually improper for him to say, because that's implying that you don't want the jury saying, well, why would she be talking to a lawyer on January 29th?
Right.
Do anything. And he and Lally and him sneak that out there.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that now too. Cheryl, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Melanie, you've been absolutely awesome. Thank you. I'm beyond sick today. A Canton resident. I think we are all sick. Cheryl, thank you so very much.
I think the takeaway on a larger level, I mean, look, Karen Reed's getting acquitted if the case doesn't, if it even gets to the jury. I mean, I said weeks ago, I didn't even know if it would. I'm starting to believe maybe again it won't. But even if it does. You know, the larger scandal beyond her is, once again, the Massachusetts State Police. I mean, these guys are like including his supervisors, are all laughing about all of this like it's nothing. And it's clear that, you know, they didn't do anything. They didn't care. And they have them on active duty investigating homicides.
Mhm.
This is like, where's the governor on this? And say, I want him removed yesterday.
This is what people should be protesting about outside the courthouse,
Yes.
inside the buffer zone. Like
Yep.
this is Massachusetts. Welcome to your constitutional rights being trampled
I don't
all
wanna
over.
diminish anything that they've done and the way they've
No.
violated Karen Reed, and they clearly have,
Mhm.
which is awful, and they should pay for it. Her case should be dismissed. She should sue them all and whatever else comes with that. But if you just put her to the side for 1 minute, this is your state police
Mhm.
who think this is okay. And you
Yeah.
know they think it's okay because his bosses know. He's allegedly under an IAB investigation. He's at least somehow involved in some kind of federal investigation. And the official position of the state police is, well, we're going to let him investigate while we investigate. I mean, if anything, why don't you sideline him with pay until he gets his due process and gets fired? But how can you have him active duty?
Working active cases. Like
Can you
there was a recent case that he got assigned to. It was in the paper.
I mean, can you imagine this Brian Walsh's attorney just laughing at this?
He's sitting in the courtroom, Kevin Reddington. He also represents Jen McCabe, coincidentally.
Which is so bizarre because of a lot of reasons. But I mean, you're just laughing. You'd be laughing at the idea that this guy is doing anything with the state police and is somehow going to be a witness. And, you know, what if he I don't know what he did in that case. I mean, just because he's involved doesn't mean he's the same level of involved. But what if he's the one who found all the evidence? Did he illegally search the phone? I'd say there's a credible reason to believe so now and
Mhm.
investigate. What happens when this guy gets punished when this is over? And he will. And by the time he's testifying at Walsh's case, he's been fired, he's been indicted, he's been whatever. You know, I mean, he's jeopardized so many things. This Yuri clown, I mean, you know, how arrogant he was, how foolish he was with his testimony about the video. Now you find out he's involved in trying to, you know, shake down the ME to give them what they want, and then is laughing about what Proctor's saying, and he's supposed to be his boss, and they're just, you know, laughing about it. I mean, the state police are a joke.
I'm
In
stunned
this.
by this whole thing. Thanks, Lisa, for saying that you needed both of us here today. We compliment each other well and unduly in my mind. Thank you, Lisa. I will let you go because I've held you here for a very, very long time before I address the rest of these super chats. So, any final thoughts, Mark? I'll give you the floor for a second.
This case is over. I've thought it was over even before this happened today. I've also said I don't think she ever should have been indicted, let alone tried. I feel stronger about that today than I did the first time I said that. Now knowing what it is, I feel that this case, you know, the police witnesses in this case have zero integrity. I think the Norfolk County DA has no integrity, including the representative that they sent to court to do this. I can't believe the way that the prosecutor would do this in the way that he did, without any feeling, without any sincere purpose, and at the same time try to bootstrap that my lead investigator thinks that Karen Reed is guilty, so it makes it okay, and then try to object. So I think he is just awful. And not to get lost in all this Proctor nonsense is, you know, the other stuff that happened today with the video and Yuri clearly being discredited about this, and now also his involvement with the ME and Proctor, and the Dighton cop who basically totally contradicted what Proctor said. But knowing everything you now know about Proctor, does this make the jurors more or less likely to believe that he might have played with the taillight in the Sally Port? The obvious answer is more, obviously.
Mhm.
So to say that this was a bad day for the DA, I know it sounds like Groundhog Day saying that, but this is a whole new next level of, oh my God, what are these people doing? And I would say this: if Michael Morrissey had a shred of dignity in him, he would himself appear tomorrow, or send Lally or someone else and say, Your Honor, the Commonwealth is moving to dismiss. This case should be over now. It doesn't matter whether they think she's guilty or not. They can't satisfy their burden of proof. What they have done to Karen Reed, humiliating her, having to have her attorneys, the DA even elicit all of this information that should have had no business in a courtroom. It should have had no business being disseminated to Proctor's buddies, his family, his colleagues. If they had a shred of dignity in them, they would move to dismiss immediately.
And assuming that they won't, because we know that they probably won't, do you think that Judge Cannoni will have the stones to toss this when a motion for directed verdict or a motion to dismiss is made at the close of the prosecution's case, Commonwealth's case?
No, because I think what she's going to do is fall back what judges do on that type of motion to dismiss and say, in a light most favorable to the non-moving party, I'll find that there is arguably a way a jury could find this. Now, I say that with one caveat. If the motion was made today, it would have to be dismissed because these people haven't even established a cause or manner of death or that a crime has occurred,
That's right.
let alone whether Karen Reed ever did anything.
Mhm.
If you assume that they offer the medical examiner, although at this point her credibility is severely damaged by these guys, I don't think she would. But to me, the obligation here, both morally, ethically, and professionally, is on the Norfolk DA. For them to throw themselves in the mud with these dirtbag state police troopers and supervisors is just disgusting. And if anybody can't understand why the FBI is looking at this, this is why. I mean, all of this stuff, this stuff with the Sally Port, the missing video, the text messages, all the weird text messages from the Alberts, the McCabe's, everything about this case stinks to high hell. And for the DA to come back every day, like we said, it's time to make the donuts, and he's just going to show up Wednesday and say, all right, I'm here to punch the clock another day. It is just, all of them are disgraceful.
Just keep on keeping on, moving forward.
Collect the check and go to work. And
Steamroll.
what do I care when she gets acquitted? I'll just go to work the next day and work towards my pension. And I think that it's awful. And when they all get sued, just remember, the taxpayers in Massachusetts are going to be paying for a lot of these people's legal fees if they work for the government. So what a country.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you'll come back. I don't know what if you ever have another day off, just you know how to reach me now. This was really fun. I think it was the collaboration everyone didn't know that they needed.
Okay, well, I enjoyed it, and we'll stay in touch, and I'll be glad to come back.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, Mark. Everybody say goodbye to Mark. Thank
Bye.
you. Oh my gosh, what a day it has been, you guys. What a day it's been. I think we had 4 hours this morning, 2.5 this afternoon. And I will now address your questions. I picked any ones that were from Mark and read them ahead. Bill, thanks for your super chat. Do you guys think AJ and David Unetti are super duper chess players? Yeah, like 3D chess, I think. Lady Los Angeles, does it hurt the defense now that they can only cross-examine Proctor instead of defense calling him as a witness like we all thought? I don't think it hurts the defense at all. I think he was shredded today. Shredded, and they're not done with him. They now have until Wednesday to prep for more. Thank you. Please pass the pepper. I feel for Miss Reed. I feel for, yes, Mr. Reed. Yes, I agree. Andrea, anti-everything. Thank you. His wife, Elizabeth, did everything possible for him not to testify and called employers of people who commented about him to demand they be fired. Wild. I can't speak to the truth of that, but that's insane if that's true. Jennifer is outraged. Thank you, Jennifer. Donna, Texas Red, ew, he's so wormy, she says. Crypto tax lawyer, thanks again. Reminder, this is direct. Make it make sense. Again, why are they doing this? Mark is right. He's gone rogue. He can't have an attorney at this point. I got to think his attorney was sitting in the courtroom. So my mind is boggled too. Kamala Norris, thank you for the 5. A balloon knot is a woman's, the little man in the canoe. Thank you. That was a trigger warning for that. Lissa, thanks. What Proctor is describing right here is every woman's worst nightmare when it comes to police. Ray Woodward, thank you. This man is a disgrace that makes me physically ill. Who is he apologizing to? The jury? Not Ms. Reed. No, he's apologizing. He feels sorry for himself because he got caught. This needs a trigger warning. Thanks, Jennifer. We're sorry we're a little late on that. Why would his lawyer think this was a good idea? I can't imagine. Can't imagine. Danielle, thank you. Pretty sure she doesn't have a colostomy bag. She has Crohn's disease. Another reason she wanted her own bathroom in Aruba. Yes, we know that as well. Thank you for that. I don't know. That's what I thought he meant by saying that, but then someone else said it was something else. Lady Lysandra, best team. Want to be like you two after law school. Are you in law school? Oh, it's hard. You'll get through it. A lot of reading. Thank you for the compliment. Sandra Bell, RN, thank you. I'm outraged as a Crohn's patient. I am physically ill by this guy's comments. He's a piece of garbage and should be fired immediately. Varushka Franceschi, thank you. Those overseeing the Walsh case include Proctor and are the same people as the Karen Reed case. The article I found said that's the reason they didn't drop charges for Karen Reed, because they didn't want to compromise the Walsh case. You may be right. Hi, Melissa Smith. Thank you. Melanie called out the Emmy saying that it was saying what it not was. Yeah. She spotted it the second she read it. Defense is watching this channel. Go Mel. I don't know about that. I'm sure they spotted it too, but thanks for the compliment. Varushka, again, this case, that's right. I think you said that, or I already read it, but I'll read it again. This case is tied to the Walsh case. They believed if they dismissed this case, that would screw up the Walsh case because of Proctor. Thank you. Lorraine, if Auntie Bev sides with Commonwealth and doesn't allow the Emmy to testify for the defense, something smells fishy. Super stinky fishy. You mean not the Emmy, but the dog bite expert? Thanks, Lorraine. KOB says, I live in Norfolk County and I am outraged. We're all right there with you. We are all right there with you. The world is watching. The world is outraged. Laura says, bless you, Karen, for having the restraint you do. You're a one strong woman. So sorry you have had to live this daily. Prayers to you. Yes, prayers up as always for Karen, her family, the family of John O'Keefe, and everyone who misses John O'Keefe. Andrew Martone, thank you. It's going to be a very long cross-examination for this guy. Yeah, this could be days. Andrew, thanks for the 10. ATS News, hello. Agree whack job was referring to the Emmy. He's a liar, of course, but he can't alienate the Emmy because the Emmy is going to be testifying. And he doesn't want the Emmy throwing him under the bus. But I agree. In the context, I thought he was talking about the Emmy too. BC Scanner, did Lally show up in a free Karen Reed t-shirt today by any chance? Your guess is good as mine. Chloe Albert's Revenge, thank you. He's the type of cop that hates who he arrests. He's the type to shoot somebody and not render aid. That's one of those bad apples. Nina Stanek, thank you. Did he testify to anything that leads to Karen's guilt? Did I miss it? No. Called her a lot of slurs. Whack job a couple times, nutbag. A lot of derogatory comments, but nothing that led to her guilt in my mind. Mark, seriously, when Karen gets acquitted, is she in danger? I would freak out of those cops. Yeah, that seems, I don't know. It's scary though. It is scary thinking about that. On top, Quincy, if you know, you know. Thanks, On Top. Vanny Annie, thank you for the 10. Why would Lally have him read these? This is shameful. He tried to get ahead of it. And let me know if you think it worked. I don't think it worked. Joseph Titus, thank you. If this case gets deliberated on, I don't think there's any way Auntie Bev isn't in on this because today alone should throw this case out. Yep, you heard what Mark said too, and I agree. If Michael Marcy had any integrity, he would come in here tomorrow and say, we're dismissing these charges. But we'll see. L. Parker, thanks for the 20. Thank you for this live today with you and Mark. I'm beyond outraged. You both kept my sanity in check. Love for Karen Reed grew stronger today. Free Karen Reed. This is unbelievable. Thanks, L. You're also very kind and generous. David Giannetti said, wait for us. It reminds us. Angel Mom, thank you. Elizabeth Proctor was executed as a witch in Salem. You're right. That was actually the name of a witch executed in Salem. You are correct. I wonder when she decided to marry Michael Proctor if she thought it would be so cool that she would be named Elizabeth Proctor because she took his name. Helene, please look into the Sandra Birchmore case. She needs justice more than Karen Reed. It will shine a whole new light on all of them, disgusting on a whole new level. I have not had the stomach for that yet, Helene, but I will. Thank you. Fids, thanks for the 5. Perfect place for the jury to stew for a day. I'm outraged. That girl, thanks for the 10. He said he couldn't get onto the phone until August because of passwords, dumping a phone. He said he had a warrant. Yeah. It's gross. The whole thing is gross. He's disgusting. He's a pig in every sense of the word. It's foul what he did. He should be just. I'm rarely speechless, but after this whole thing today, I'm speechless. Haley from the Show Me, thank you. Can you both please highlight this important point? What America is seeing in this case is the tip of the iceberg of what police departments are capable of and have been doing to Black and brown Americans since forever. I'm highlighting it for you. Thank you. And it's an excellent, excellent point. Crypto tax lawyer, thank you. Sorry if y'all answered this, had to tap out. Can they not get into the hope she kills herself? Mark is right. This will be the nail in the coffin. They will. They'll get to it probably Wednesday. Edward Kirkpatrick, thank you for the 5. Phone seized 129, same as the SUV. How was the Yannetti communication on there? It was in airplane mode, hired before 2 p.m., interview, and he let her talk to cops. Yeah. Unless that's the thing. Because they didn't seize it until after, if she spoke with him that day. I don't know. It's a great question. I can't answer it. Andrea, thanks for the 5. I've deliberated on 2 Massachusetts juries, and I believe there's no way they will convict, not even for manslaughter, based on court instructions. I agree. GM Jar, thank you for the 5. This reminds me of the Met officers UK slowly being cleaned up, and it's been slow. Love you, Melanie. Oh, love you right back, GM Jar. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda, for being a member for a month and says, thank you for bringing us Mark today too. Well, thank you guys for watching. And thank you to my moderators for keeping it so classy. Lisa, thank you for the Cash App. You guys are amazing. Without you, I don't have a channel. I'd be screaming at my TV. So thank you so very much to the moderators who keep it classy for us. I know this is a hard case to cover because the vitriol spews forth, but you guys make this possible. Yikes. Thank you to Mark for showing up today. Thank you to my channel members who love me enough to want to be a member of my little cupcakes. And also to my viewers, replay viewers, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. We want this stream to get out there. The subscribe button, it's free. I'd like to get to 50K. I'd like to get to 50K. I'm at like maybe 43,000. I'd like to get to 50K by the end of the month. That would be so awesome. So if you would hit that subscribe button, it's totally free. Hit the bell so you'll know when I go live. I will see you guys again Wednesday morning. We have full day coverage Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Tomorrow there's no court, but I'm sure you will find me somewhere. That's why you want to hit that bell so that you'll know. And remember, my friends, as I always say, to close every stream, be cool, be kind, be classy. It's not hard. Really, it is so not hard. I promise you, you will thank me. Peace out. Keep on keeping on, my